Okay. What happened to my hair this morning? So, hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today, and we are launching our newest international best-selling book, Women with Healing Gifts today. This book just hit international bestseller. It's been interesting because with this particular book and a couple of our other books, something weird has been happening with Amazon, and that's that the international rankings haven't been showing up. So it's been a little like, oh my God, what's going on behind the scenes kind of thing. But we just hit that, bestseller status in India. So India, thank you. Thank you so much for being in the house and showing up and shining so that we could hit that bestseller status. What we're shooting for today is #1 international. So you go ahead and buy your copy of the book today at, here we go. It's actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. Get your copy today and help us to hit that #1 international bestseller status. I'm excited to interview our authors. Boy, this book has been absolutely incredible. It's been a while in the making, and here it is. Finally, we're here at the launch day. Incredible stories of these women who have discovered their healing gifts, and they're using those healing gifts today. So we're going to be talking to them about their healing gifts, what they're doing with them, how they're helping people. I believe that we all have gifts in many, many different ways, and some of us have that gift of healing. So we're going to hear from people who are doing conventional type of healing, all the way to the woo-woo healing. So just get ready. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to bring up first the curator of the book with me. This is Laurel Elian. Hello, Laurel. How's everything going today? And congratulations!
Yeah, so exciting. Thanks. Oh, Linda, it's been really a wonderful process for each of the authors, for myself included. And thank you so much for all that you and Sally do at Action Takers Publishing.
Well, Laurel, I want to ask you, because this was a brainchild that started before you came along. Somebody else came with the idea, which I really loved. And then we went ahead and some things happened behind the scenes, and we went ahead and said, you know what, Laurel is definitely a person to take the reins on this book, because you are like the ultimate, the woman who is like, has these tremendous healing gifts. And so I was like, Laurel's perfect for this book. So first of all, thanks for stepping up into that position. And I want to ask you, during this journey, you're doing this book with us. This has been different than the other books you're in with us. So during this journey here, what has been your favorite part of this?
It's connecting with the other authors, truly, because there's a common thread with all of them, because we don't set out in life to be a healer. And right. I truly don't believe that we heal other people. It's because of our journeys that we model, inspire, and motivate ourselves and others along the path. And what we learn helps us to realize the true meaning of our lives, our true purpose. And every single author that I spoke with didn't see themselves as a healer. In fact, many of us shied away from it. I certainly didn't see what I did as a profession that I was a healer, that it affected people on the levels that it did. And being a healer, I'll just use that word, is it's an expression of our life. It's not just what we do, it's how we live. And that's the real underlying message. It's setting out to create a life that has a deeper meaning, to heal our lives, body, mind, and soul, or spirit, and to affect the lives of others. To be a good human really is the bottom line of it. Is when we're the best version of ourselves, we have greater impact in our own world, but also the greater world. We're the microcosm and the macrocosm.
That is so deep, right? And it's something I would love to dive into, but we can't dive into that today. So maybe we'll have Laurel back. We'll do an interview of her, regarding that topic. We'll bring some of the other ladies back and do like a panel interview. I think that would be awesome. We don't have time for that today, which is good because we're here to launch this book, Women with Healing Gifts. And there was something you said there that I'm excited to ask all of the ladies. So if you're watching, if you're one of our interviewees today and you're watching live right now, you know that I'm going to be asking you a question later. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now, but you're going to have to be ready for it because I'm going to be asking the next ladies that we're bringing up. And Laurel, I'm so excited to have this book finally out into the public here because first of all, this cover design, when when we started creating it, I didn't really have a vision of what it was going to look like. We went through so many different iterations. And once this one landed, I was like, oh my God, that's it. Like I knew it. I knew that was it. There was just something about the colors, the imagery, the way it looks, just blends together. It's such a beautiful design. So what we're going to do next, Laurel, is we're going to bring up two of our authors, Dina Legland and Nasira R. Ahmed. And first of all, Nasira is in India, so it's it's like 13 hours ahead of where I am in California. And Nasira, congratulations, all that hard work on trying to get this book into India finally popped up. Yeah, so Nasira and I worked behind the scenes. If you can mute yourself when you're not speaking, that'd be awesome. So Nasira and I worked behind the scenes with India in Amazon because it was not showing up in the rankings. And when you clicked on the link, like it didn't even take you to Amazon. And so Nasira, I want to thank you so much for your diligence and hard work in getting this book out there. Thank you. Thank you. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's an absolute pleasure being here today. Thank you. It's such an honor. And yeah, I had a lot of friends backing me up over here in Amazon.
Yep.
And I'm really happy that it all worked out. A special mention to Akhil and Vivek who actually did that for us. So yeah, I'm really glad.
Yes.
Congratulations to all of you.
Yes, congratulations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Dina. Dina, let me see, the title of your chapter is Empathy, Nurture, Sensitivity, Protective Instinct. Are they a gift or a curse? So why don't you share with us, like, what does that title mean? And, how'd you come up with it?
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Linda. It's something that's been inside of me since I was like 5. I can remember as far back as 5 years old. Um, and I had a lot of empathy, nurturing. I was a very sensitive child, and I always wanted to protect others. And the reason I came up with those 4 is because they were always there. They were always in the forefront of, growing up and taking care of people. And for years, for decades, I always said out loud, are these 4 things a gift or are they truly a curse? And it took me till a cancer journey, a breast cancer journey, to realize that empathy, nurture, sensitivity, and my protective instincts were truly a gift. Being a nurse for over 32 years and a volunteer EMT in my community, being a middle child, taking care of everybody and anybody. And I've had patients and clients tell me, this is who you are. And it made me realize that it is truly a gift. And like Laurel said, we don't realize that we're healing others. And people have said to me, my gosh, you just have a great ear. You listen, you say certain things that make me stop and think, and you truly heal people. And I never thought about it that way. And Laurel, you said it perfectly.
Well, I'm curious about that, Dina, because you mentioned, you had never thought about it that way. And what was that crossover that made you see that, okay, I'm going to start to believe this and then live this?
I would say there was 2 major things happen in my life. I had lost over 100 pounds and got as healthy as I can be. And I realized that, I'm strong. I can do this. And, it's okay to be sensitive. it's okay to nurture others, you know. And then when I got diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer, it really made me stop and think about who I truly am and who I truly wanted to be. And it's not a curse. It's truly a gift.
I love that. That's so good. And as Laurel mentioned, we a lot of times, like, we didn't want to accept it. We shied away from it. So this is the
Oh
question I'm going to
yes.
ask all you ladies, is about that shying away piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start with Miss Sarah. Before we talk about your chapter, Miss Sarah, I want to hear from you. Did you shy away from the gifts that you have, in this area? And if so, what finally brought you around?
Yeah, I think for a very long time I was a healer in the closet of sorts. I was hiding and learning and getting certified because, like polarities, there was this other side of me that was working in a very strong corporate environment, and this whole image of the healer in a corporate environment just did not blend. I was not sure as to when to bring this out, and I think I just kept it hidden and I wasn't allowing this to emerge for me. So I would go on weekends, learn, whatever I could and practice and not tell anybody where I was, get certified, come back and, go back to work every day. And I think what I realized was that I was just getting less and less authentic because that voice inside me that I do want to make a difference through my healing, that just kept getting stronger to the point that I think I couldn't ignore it anymore and everything else around me was collapsing. So I had to listen to that and I started walking in that direction. So it did take some time.
I remember when we spoke, it was quite a while ago that we spoke about that, is that the corporate world and I'll use that term, woo, and the woo world, it doesn't usually combine very well. People don't understand. And so I want to congratulate you for stepping up and stepping into that, because that's a big difference there. And there's, potential judgment and so many different things that could happen in that process. So I want to talk to you about your chapter title, which I'm finding it over here, the energy architect. And I know this is this is your trademark, your trademark, the energy architect, which I love it. I think it's amazing. So why don't you share with us, like, what your chapter is about and what the energy architect is about?
Okay. So I believe that everything is energy. Everything is energy. How we bring ourselves to the world, how we are with other people, uh, our energy rubs off on other people, other people's energies rub off on us. And energy architect is really about being able to design your destiny, that everybody actually has control, not to a very large extent, but they can actually work around it. There are tools available for people to actually use their energy to uh, uh, to use this energy and make it work for them. A lot of people who've undergone trauma, abuse, or they have depression, a lot of them don't believe that there are other options, there are other ways out for them to really take charge of their life. And energy architect in that sense actually provides tools for people to realize that they can work on themselves and they can design their destiny. um, what I do is I integrate coaching and energy work. So I'm also taking in the corporate as well as the woo woo, and I'm kind of integrating it and seeing what can happen out of that.
That's so good. I love it because you're able to incorporate that corporate background into the woo-woo area and really dive into it. So thanks so much for being part of this book. And I really enjoyed getting to know you. I look forward to many, many more years of working together and getting to know each other better. Now you stepped out and you just said, you know what, I'm going to start interviewing people. And you started immediately just interviewing a lot of the authors. And I think you've interviewed to date, what, over 15?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. How has
So
that felt?
that's
Like
my
stepping
podcast.
into that? How has that felt?
Um, I think I was contemplating it for a very long time because I've always loved the format. And this kind of gave me an opportunity to just finally start. And I was interacting with all of these wonderful women. Uh, what occurred to me was that everybody was a healer and everybody had their own different way to heal. In a sense, I got to learn so much more. So I thought I knew a little bit about it, but then as I kept speaking to more and more of these wonderful ladies, I realized that, my God, this is just like the beginning. So when you spoke about the what's going to happen, I immediately just stepped up and said, yes, I want to do the podcast. It was there in my mind, but it didn't have a shape or anything, but it just came together as soon as you said that. And I wasn't sure how I was going to start it, but it started, and I'm really glad the way it's turned out.
Oh, I love that right there is one thing I love. So you said I wasn't sure how I was going to start it, but you did. And that's the difference of a lot of people. They're not sure how they're going to start, so they don't. And so congratulations again, on taking that step and doing
Thank
that.
you.
So thanks so much for being part of this. I want to ask Laurel. Laurel, your chapter in the book is called How I Discovered My Healer's Gift and Mastered My Life. But why don't you talk to us about that? How did you come up with that title, and how did you master your life, or how are you mastering your life today still, right?
Right. It's still a process. And like Nasira said, it's, living in two worlds and how to come out of the closet is, I've had this gift my whole life and I didn't realize, because it was the thing that actually kind of tortured me and made my life uncomfortable. And I recognize now how that's how it works for people. If those who are listening can relate to what I'm saying, it's because you're supposed to pay attention to it. So I left, I was actually in a really active real estate career and doing what we think we're supposed to be doing, wearing many hats and ignoring my body, my health, and taking care of everybody else. And that was in my early 40s. And it all came to a head when I did my first meditation retreat, a silent retreat for 10 days. And the rules were no coffee, no sugar, no phone, no computer for 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, it was just euphoric. I got in my car. Actually, when I first got to my car, I jumped out of it because had somebody been in my car, I had to adjust it. And my form had started changing. My inner world started changing and my outer world started changing. And every day after that, I had this sense of that feeling leaving. And I knew it was the beginning of the end of my real estate career, but I'd always been in business and was always promoting something and was always involved in learning more. So I already had this sense of different therapies. So it was in those years that, okay, how do I make this change? And it just started happening. Like Nazira with the podcast and that, it's like just putting my feet to action, do the work. That was one of the statements one of my spiritual teachers would always say: do the work, do the work. Well, the work is here. And the health crisis, I had more than one, and I'm still here. If I hadn't have stepped into acknowledging that doing things the way everybody else does things or do their lives, that didn't work for me. And we're not meant to be cookie cutter type of people. Your inner gifts are what fill you up and make you feel fulfilled, make you feel happy, just happy. Like that I had to take that as one of my mantras for a year. I just want to be peaceful. I just want to experience peace and joy. And again, it's the simplest things. It's not out there selling. It's like that's what happens to many of us. So I got to make money doing this. That's not it. It's about filling yourself up abundantly with life, and life comes in, and the rest lays itself out. But we try to control too much. And for myself, I had to learn to let go of the controls. I was too controlling.
Well, I'd love to ask you, just dive a little bit deeper into that. What'd you call it? Silent retreat, or I can't remember what you called it. But with that, have you done it again, or was that a one-time thing, or are you going to do it again? What's your thought on that? Because first of all, what was that like?
It was
And
very
then,
weird.
are you going to do it again?
It was very weird. And okay, so here were the rules: no coffee, no sugar, no phone, no computer, no meat. That was my life. So since then, like Dina said, and this is a common thread: getting healthy in your body. I too have shed a lot of. I don't look like how I used to look at all. So that process became a craving for me. And actually, in my training, I've been training therapists for over a decade in a 12-day retreat that is all about. It's not about detoxifying, it's about clearing the pathways. So juicing and moving the body and connecting mind, body, and soul. So I've been certified internationally as a teacher of other modalities that I teach therapists to recognize how they've come to be in the shape they're in. So I've lived in a retreat environment for over a decade. It's been very peaceful. And it's not anything that happens right away. It's in that you create this environment in your life. You become it.
Well, what about the silent piece, though? And that's what I was more curious about, because living in a retreat environment, that's amazing, first of all. But what about that silence piece? Have you done that since then? Is like complete silence for a certain period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be part of what would happen. So it's not, we didn't do no talking at all. It's designated, which creates a structure. It's a discipline, so it's like, and it's always about, how you put yourself out there. And every time you connect with, I'm putting myself out there, or, women have a thing about us because of our nurturing, our caregiving. We like to fill up the space of quietness with busyness. And that's what takes us out of our body, as how I'll describe it. So this discipline of, when you do that, actually, after training yourself, you see how much energy you give away. People don't suck our energy, we give it away. And so when we are quiet, come back home, we recognize how much power we have in just retaining our own energy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Thank you. That's amazing. And I don't know, it got me thinking maybe I could do like a 1 hour quiet time. Start with something, right? It doesn't matter how much it is.
Leave with the thought. Quote from Lao Tse says, if a man cannot meditate for 20 minutes, he should meditate for an hour. So we just apply that to all people.
There you go. I love that. That's very brilliant. So Dina, I want to tap into this shying away piece. Because Laurel had mentioned, a lot of us shy away from it. So did you shy away from these healing gifts that you have, or did you not shy? Because you've been doing this for a long time, for many years. And so did you ever shy away from it? And if so, what brought you to it?
Well, I would say I shied away from it. It would resurface. I would deal with it. I'd shy away from it. Like I said, being a nurse in a local EMT for the fire department, I'm always in service, have always been in service. And like Laurel said, it's that energy. You gave so much energy away. And I honestly believe those are the two things that happened to me by gaining weight and getting the breast cancer, because I gave, and never really truly looked within and took care of myself. I believe that when we do that and we're so fearful of not being loved or being judged or whatever the circumstances are, and we just keep going that way, we can get sick, and I just feel at times that I had control over it and then I lost control of it. And when I lost control of it is when other things started to happen physically and mentally and emotionally to me. So to answer that question, yes and no. It would be there and it wouldn't be there. And I learned that I come first. And it took my cancer journey to realize that in my 5th decade. It took me some time.
And there was something you mentioned. You see behind you, she has another book there. It's called Embracing the Impact of Cancer, which also hit #1, bestseller in on the 13th, I think it was.
Yes.
12th or 13th, on the 13th of June. So 5 days apart, she's 2 times bestseller. So that's really exciting there. But you did mention something during the interviews of that book, Embracing the Impact of Cancer. And that was that you said selfish is not
self-care is not selfish.
Self-care is not selfish, right? Yes. That's right. I wrote it down, but I can't remember it. But yeah, self-care is not selfish. So I would love for you to talk on that a little bit, because as Laurel mentioned, as women, a lot of times, like we're giving away our energy, we're giving away the like that space, like the we don't want to have a lot of free space because we need to be doing, we need to be helping, we need to be serving, for a lot of us. And so I'd love for you to talk on that part, because that was something I think was a really big topic for me to hear, and I want our audience to hear that. So self-care is not selfish. Why don't you speak on that, Dina?
Right. Yes. With that being said, we need to truly serve our inner self. We need to take care of our inner self. And when we look within, and there are certain things that we can do as far as our me time, and taking the time out of the day, whatever that looks like for an individual, whether it's a little bit of a morning routine, a midday routine, or even going to bed routine, we have to nurture ourselves first, by eating healthy, by movement, meditation, yoga, journaling, whatever that is for that individual. And it took me some time to learn this. It didn't happen overnight. I have a 30-minute routine I do in the morning, and I have a 30-minute routine I do before I go to bed. And it really makes you more aware of who you are, what you want, and it really allows you to say yes to what serves you and no to what does not serve you. And I just love, I have a dear friend, and I just have her in my head when I want to say the word no. And she's like, no is a sentence.
Linda, you're on mute.
It's so funny. My computer keeps muting me. I guess it doesn't want me to talk today. I'm okay with that. We're going to move on to our next interviewees, but before we do that, I want to just kind of go around and ask like final words that you would like for our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in on Father's Day. And I would love for you to just give like, what's one thing you want our viewers to take away from reading this book, Women with Healing Gifts? And I'm going to start with Nasira. What is it that you want our readers to take away from reading this book? Nasira?
Yeah. So what I'd like to really tell everybody is that we don't need to be stuck. A lot of people give up thinking that that is how it is supposed to be and that's where they're supposed to be. But actually, that's not true. The fact is that each and everybody actually does have that control over their lives, and they have tools to work around it. So you can work, you can design your destiny.
Awesome. Awesome. You do not have to be stuck, and you can design your destiny. Dina, what is something you want our readers to take away after reading the book?
I would say embrace your gift. Don't be afraid of it. Just nurture it, nurture yourself. And, I would say go with the flow with it, because it's something that is truly within you. It's who you are. Your gifts are who you are. Embrace them and love them.
Embrace your gifts and love them. Thank you so much. Brilliant, brilliant. And Laurel, what is it that you would love our readers to take away after reading the book?
I say question everything. Don't believe the myths, the stories we've been told about at this age you should feel this and so on, or you should look like this, or it's natural because you're aging. It's a myth. We are at the older we get, the more wisdom we have to share, and that's deeply connected to your gift. So don't buy into it. Go out there, be vital, get into your body, feel good in your body, enjoy your body. Mm-hmm.
Get out there, be curious, right? Be curious. Yeah, don't take everything at face value, because just because somebody says it doesn't mean it's necessarily true for you. Right. So with that said, I'm going to let Dina and Nasira go. And if you ladies go ahead and share this out there. We want to make sure that we get as many people as possible to buy the book, especially this first hour. This is when we're really pushing for people to purchase the book so that we can hit that #1 international bestseller status. So you guys have a great day, and thanks so much for being part of this book. Really enjoyed this interview time with you. See you later.
Thank you.
Oops, I cut them off. That happens. Laurel, I can see you. Okay. Laurel, I want to just ask, what did you think about those first 2 interviews? And we're getting launched off with, this book today, officially launching the book today. So what did you think about those first 2 interviews to get us started?
Yeah, the strongest message that keeps coming to me is about women with healing gifts. And age is mentioned, health is mentioned. That's a common factor because we've bought into, particularly women, we've bought into societies or the conditioning, and it's not the truth of who we are. The older we get, the better we are. Dina mentioned about how long it took and at the age that she was and what happened. And it's very similar to every one of the authors' stories, is how at a certain age they came out with their gifts. And I believe that that's more the truth of how we're designed. There's a rhythm and a flow to our lives. And you don't just go into school and graduate with degrees, right? You start in kindergarten and you go all the way through. So yeah, absolutely. It's sharing the gifts and not giving away of yourself. The self-care is primary. Women are trained to believe that their multitasking is a great thing. It's not true. They've proven it fries our brain and it exhausts us and affects us hormonally. So to come back home to the body is truly, all of them have the story of how their health played a big role in it.
Yes, so true. And I love how Gail put, just as an experience of coming out of the healing closet. I love it when, Nasira mentioned, coming out of the closet in relation to what she was doing, in the corporate world. And it's just a completely different world there. And there's a lot of skepticism, I would say. I was in the corporate world for 36 years, and definitely a lot of skepticism into this type of world. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to be right back. If I can go find the commercial. Hold on. We'll be right back. We are back. Oh, I'm back. Wait, hold on a second. We are back. Oh my gosh, we're talking about the book Women with Healing Gifts. These women all have accepted the fact that they have, healing gifts in different ways. And we're talking to the authors today. This book is an international best-selling book, and we're shooting for number one international best-selling book. And something kind of fun, Laurel, is I mentioned this to the ladies the other day. Hold on. I'm going to find it here. So I'm going to bring it up on screen and show you all that we're up against somebody who is very well known, and I wasn't prepared to do this, so bear with me as I bring this up on my screen. But we're up against somebody who's very well known, and when that happens, it can be a little like, we can do it, we can do it, we can. Is it going to be the right one? I think it's this one. No, hold on. Darn it! Wait, there it is. No, that's not it. They're so small on my screen. Here it is. Okay. So this person that we're up against, excuse me, this person that we're up against, it's kind of fun because it is. Okay, so we're going to show it on the screen right now. Can you all help us pass the Terminator? We're shooting to pass the Terminator, just for an hour. Okay, we just need to pass him up for 1 hour. Is all we need. So go to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing and please purchase a Kindle version of the book. It's only $1.99 US. It's available in all countries. When you go to our website there, you'll see flags for the different countries. Please just go ahead and click that flag and spend a whole $1.99. And if you're like, you know what, I'm not sure if I want to spend $1.99, email me, Linda@actiontakerspublishing.com, your receipt, and I will PayPal you back your $1.99. Okay, we just want to pass Arnold. That's all. That's the goal. We've had Matt Damon before. We've had, I don't know, we've had so many different, people that we've passed up on these journeys, and it's a lot of fun to have a person that you're like, I'm in competition with this person. We're gonna pass them up. So
if I can speak to that too, like I just when we chose the date, I didn't realize that the launch date was going to fall on Father's Day, but I thought
me neither.
Yeah, and it's so perfect because looking at women with healing gifts and the feminine aspect and the divine feminine. There's so many theories and so many thoughts around all of that. And I thought how perfect to merge this on the celebration of the masculine. So there's a lot going on in our world today. And again, this is so timely that Women with Healing Gifts is launching right now when the feminine is really under fire and from so many directions. And this really is about the human journey. And women play such a big role. So I love that Arnold is part of our theme today too. And good luck, Arnold.
Exactly. Good luck, Arnold. We're coming after you. We're coming after you. And Laurel, I would love for you to, before we bring up our next guest, I would love for you to speak a little bit about, because you mentioned the feminine, the masculine. Before I knew anything about this stuff, I didn't ever know that there was a thing as feminine, masculine. I thought it was male, female, like that. So I would love for you to share, like, how do the two combine together and work together?
Well, it's really a big question, or it's a big topic, Linda, because it took me a long time to understand it. In the work that I do, I'm actually trained to read energy in physical bodies, and so that process taught me to see the masculine and the feminine in nature, but also in women. And so a good example of it is how women, we do all of these things, we wear all of these hats, we take care of so many different people, and we take on all of these personas. Women over time have taken on a masculine persona, and it's proof in how our health has changed. Heart disease used to be just a man's dis-ease, and it's now the one of the leading diseases of women because we have taken on these masculine qualities. So when I'm reading bodies or reading faces with people, you'll see the masculine features that have come out in women and how men have feminine features. So we have it all in us. It's in nature. We can always look to nature to see how nature responds to conditions. We do that through our health and our being. I don't know if that explanation helps, but it's the truth of who we are. We're meant to have a balance of those qualities in our life.
Yes, I'm not sure if it fully makes sense, but maybe this isn't one of those things that like it can make sense like right there on the spot.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
well,
need to process these things, you know?
yeah, well, it is a lot because it shows up in, you know, how you speak, the words that you use. Some people use more masculine words, which can be, you know, like powerful, whereas feminine is more soft. In sacred geometry, masculine is the square, feminine is the round. You know, it's the water element is feminine. Like there's a lot to understand about it, but it comes back to how you are in the being that you are, how you operate in the world, and how the world responds to you.
Okay, well, with that said, if you're listening right now and you're not sure exactly like what she's referring to, please reach out to one of our authors because they can definitely talk to you about this. If it's something that slightly interests you, you know, earlier I mentioned, you know, be curious, you know, have this curiosity about you, looking into new modalities, different ways of seeing things. Please reach out to the authors in this book, and you can find them at actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. Many of them are giving away free gifts, so go cash in on those free gifts and connect with these ladies. Absolutely incredible journeys. Next up, I'm going to bring up Anya Shores, and then I'm going to try to bring up Anjana Nambison. I hope I said her last name right. I know the first name. And I'm going to see what happens because I know she's having some problems with her video. So we're going to let her swirl around over there. We're going to see what's happening. You know, sometimes the energy fields interrupt these types of broadcasts. And I've actually seen that happen where I was interviewing somebody and we were talking about something really woo-woo, is the 5D Earth. And somebody came up on the screen, and every time they started to speak, their screen went like this crazy. We couldn't hear them. It was just, and then we send them down, they come back up, and we just kept on trying this. So anyway, sometimes when you're talking about these topics, like the energy, as was spoken about earlier with Nasira, is the energy just kind of takes over and it sends us in a different direction. So Anjana, keep trying. You might have to go on your phone, Anjana, and try that way and see if that works. So we're going to welcome Anya Schwartz to Women with Healing Gifts. Congratulations. We're an international bestseller. And so Anya, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your message in this book. And your chapter title is Me, Myself, and I. I would love for you to speak about that a little bit. Like, how did you come up with that chapter title and what does that mean? Anya? You're muted. Let's see. See if I can unmute you. It won't let me unmute you. So. Okay, well, Anya figures out her unmuting thing. I'm not sure what's happening, Anya. You might need to go out and come back in. Sometimes that happens where you just try going out and coming back in and see if you'll be able to unmute yourself again. So let's see. Got it? Okay, I'm going to send you down and then go ahead and get out and then come back in and see if that helps. So sometimes things happen, technical difficulties. We are streaming live here. And Anjana, same thing. I'm going to ask you to go out and maybe come in with your phone, Anjana, and see if that helps. Maybe that'll help us in this situation. So Laurel, oh, look at this. This is a cool person's name, 100% true. I don't know who you are, 100% true, but that is a cool name. I love it. And there's something Gail said here. She says, it's a balance of masculine and feminine that we achieve connection. And Laurel, is this something you can speak on? I know we can have Gail speak on it later because she will be coming up around 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern time. Is this something that you can speak to, Laurel? Muted. You're muted. Is StreamYard muting everybody?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. So the masculine and the feminine is the same as talking about energy. It's the energy, it's the balance. And when you achieve the balance, and it's all of the things that all of the authors talk about, it's about when you get healthy, that means when you're moving your body and you're releasing extra weight, for example, or the energy, the negative energy that builds up in your body that creates, well, I'll say blockages. That's a really simplistic explanation of it, but those are the things that block the flow of energy, and it blocks the flow of masculine and feminine. And when you're too hard on yourself, that's a masculine quality. That when you're too hard on yourself for too long, that continued pattern creates dis-ease, dysfunction in your body and your life. So what's going on in the body is also going on out there. So if that helps. And Anya's, is your sound
She's
working now,
unmuted.
Anya?
Yes, she is unmuted.
I think I'm here.
Yay. Yes.
Yay.
Fantastic. Persistence pays off. So your chapter title, Me, Myself, and I. Anya, please share with us, like, how did you come up with that chapter title, and what exactly does that mean?
Well, the title that just came to me, Laurel asked me to participate in this book, and I thought about it, and I thought, yes, I'm going to do it. And my chapter is going to be Me, Myself, and I. And I know this sounds very egocentric, but it's actually not. It's the story about me trying to connect to others, trying to be part of a group, of a team, and somehow I always ended up alone. And not alone, like nobody there to help me or talk to me, just alone with my inner being and nobody understanding me. So that's what it's about.
Oh, I wasn't ready to unspotlight you. There we go. Okay. Fantastic.
Nobody understanding.
Oops. Somebody, we have some feedback. If you can mute yourself when you're not speaking, that would be awesome. And so thanks for sharing that. And I love how you said this may sound egocentric, but it doesn't at all, because wait, hold on. I'm getting some background noise. There we go. It doesn't at all, because we do, as Dina mentioned earlier, self-care is not selfish. And so getting to know ourselves isn't selfish at all either. And so Anjana, just, I'm getting some background noise. So if you can mute yourself when you're not speaking, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for sharing that and for joining us in this book, Women with Healing Gifts. And Anya, this question I'm going to ask every single author. Was there ever a time during this journey that you shied away from these gifts that you have? And if so, what made you decide to come into it?
I didn't really shy away. It's more like self-development is like a drug. Once you start, you cannot stop. You're kind of addicted to go on and on and on and on. And you solve one problem and another problem comes up. So that's when you start anyways, there's always things coming up. So yes, there has been a time that I thought, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to stop and go back to my old life. And then I was sleeping on it for a night and I thought, I can't do that. I'm so curious, what's going to happen. I'm so curious, what's the information behind it. And I've done a lot of ancestral and generational trauma balancing. And it's so interesting to get to know your family on a completely different level. So that was very, very exciting.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that message. I'm trying to find you on my screen here. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm having technical difficulties myself. There we go. Okay. Now I see what's going on. Yes, thanks for sharing that, because a lot of times we have these things about us that we do shy away from because so many different reasons. Maybe we were made fun of. Maybe it's too crazy. Maybe some people said, oh, those people are crazy, and so you didn't want to be like that, or whatever, those different reasons. And congratulations on stepping into it. I know that you do some incredible, absolutely incredible work. And so, thanks for being here, to be on this journey with us in this book. I'm going to bring up one of our next guests, Melissa, and then Anjana was having problems. me see. For some reason, Melissa's video is not showing. There we go. There we go. I can't hear any of you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're coming through
Okay.
clear. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So, yeah, so Sally, if you can work with Anjana in the background, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we're making our way through this. This is a lot of fun. First of all, Melissa, welcome to the book and congratulations on being an international best-selling author. Whoop, whoop. How does that feel? How does that feel?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this.
Of course, we're glad that you are part of this. Now, the title of your chapter is The Medicine of Winter. The Medicine of Winter. What the heck does that mean? Share with us what that means.
I realized at the end of my, I went through a divorce of 19 years and realized that there was so much power in winter. There's a lot of solitude. When we think of winter, we think about everything going dormant. We think about everything underground, a time of stillness. And so people uncomfortable being in the silence and aloneness. I realized during that time, from December to February, is when I started really metabolize my works, my trauma, my grief, and I really silence and being alone. And I really found, while it was a little unnerving at the time, I found out there was a lot of medicine in that. Are you guys having a hard time hearing me? We had a bad storm coming through. So if you just let me know.
Yeah, the bad storm is really wreaking havoc. So you never know if is it choppy for me or is it choppy for everybody, but it looks like it is choppy. But I didn't catch. Did anybody catch what she said? Oops, shoot. I wasn't able to understand her. Were you, Laurel?
Yeah, no, she went through a divorce after 19 years of marriage, and that's what created her journey. So yeah, for StreamYard takes more bandwidth than other platforms. So yeah. So yeah, Melissa, it looks like you have a clear connection now, but her journey started through marriage.
I'm going to throw the questions over to you, Laurel. Go ahead, Laurel.
Okay, Melissa, if you can hear me well enough, just unmute yourself and come on through, and let's see if we can't just get some more information from you on your chapter.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Somewhat.
Can't hear me.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is a lesson for me.
It's unfortunate, Melissa. Sorry, we're not able to hear you. We're not able to hear you. Yeah. So, Anya, let's your reception's really clear. So let's talk about the fountain of color empowerment. That is a big part of it's what you've created, and it's part of your journey. And the children of light.
The toddler of light.
Yeah.
The toddler of light. Okay, I'll just say I think we're all toddlers of light because we still need to get used to this new world. We need, it's not what our parents taught us. So we have to be aware, we have to be conscious, we have to take me time. That's not what our parents did. So we are pioneers. We are pioneers of a new world, of a new existence. And the Toddler of Light is a regular free workshop kind of thing where things are discussed.
Well, yeah, I would really like to dive a little bit deeper into the Toddlers of Light and what you said, because it's about generational healing. And what many people don't realize what's happening in their life is that the challenges that they're born into, that conditioning that comes from their parents, is part of the tools that we're to recognize when we start questioning and we go in that new direction of discovering the truth of who we are. So I love what you said, and I believe it to be true too. Our parents were pioneers in the time that they lived. Many of us, our parents were pioneers out on the prairie, and it was about survival. It really was. They required different tools than what we require today. Technology has been some of the biggest challenges or gifts that we have in this time, but it comes with challenges. So we too are pioneers in this time of bringing in the light and understanding what that means. And as an author in Women with Healing Gift, that is the work that you do is exactly what you're talking about. So the toddlers of light, and I'll just let you continue from there.
Well, it's like you always see, if you're just going through Facebook, you see these smart quotes and you think, oh yeah, but what does it really mean? And then basically you need to differentiate between body, soul, mind, and spirit, because they have different points of view and they have different balancing methods. So if you have the body, you need to be aware, let go, and fill the void. You don't need to do that with the soul. With the soul, it's just experiencing emotions deeply, what nobody really wants, especially the negative ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who wants to really be sad and cry a lot? No, nobody. So you run away and you mechanisms. And then the mind is supposed to understand. As soon as the mind understands, the thing is balanced. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's it. Gone. Problem is gone.
All right.
And then you have the spirit, and that's the protection layer, and that goes through body, mind, and soul. So that's everything together. That's uniting, that's connecting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're only working on the body, that's not enough. You need the soul and the mind too.
Exactly.
So it's a holistic view. That's what I want to say.
Exactly. I say body, mind, and soul, but it is the body-mind connection or mind-body connection, whichever people refer to. And Linda's back.
Yes, I'm back. And it's so funny you just mentioned that, because one of the books we have coming up that we haven't even announced yet is called Mind-Body Connection, Laurel. We haven't even announced it yet. We have a cover and everything. We're ready to announce that one. So that's one of our upcoming books. Of course, we'd love to have you ladies join us in that. But Anya, I want to thank you so much for being here, for being part of this book. It's been an incredible journey of just getting to know you as little as I have. I mean, you're absolutely incredible. I love what you do, and I love your message. So what I'd love for you to share with our viewers is, what do you want them to take away when they read the book, Women with Healing Gifts?
One of the things I have is empathy. And there was a time that I suffered a lot because of empathy. And in my chapter, I describe that suffering from empathy is a developmental stage you can overcome. So that's my message.
So good. Yeah. Oh, that's a great message. I love that, because that's something that I've been working on this last just couple of years, realizing that I don't have to take on other people's energy. I'm in control of that. And so it's been an interesting exploration for sure. And it's totally shifted the way I show up in different things. So thank you so much for being here, Anya. We are an international best-selling book, Women with Healing Gifts. Congratulations, ladies. So excited to be on this journey with you all. So Anya, I want to thank you so much. Have a great day. And please go share this out. We want to get this book into more hands. Go to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. And we'll be right back. I'm going to bring up our VP of Author Development. Laurel, I'm going to send you down for just a moment. Going to bring up our VP of Author Development, Sally Green. Sally, so good to see you today. How's everything going? Oh my God, it's been awesome so far. What a great morning.
Oh, this has been wonderful. I love listening to all the authors tell of their experiences. I've been here behind the scenes listening, and trying to do some of the tech stuff. Yeah, when you said, when we talk about this topic, it seems the energy just takes over. But yeah, this is I'm really excited about this book, and I love being part of it.
Yeah, me too. It's been incredible. When we first you came up with the idea, I wasn't even going to write a chapter because like, I don't have any healing gifts, you know? And then as I started reading the chapters, I was like, started thinking that maybe I actually do. And then realizing that I actually do, right? So I went from this, I don't, to maybe I do, to I actually do. And so it's been a process for me as well. Before we bring up our next authors, and I see we've got Anjana is on screen. Yay, so we're going to be able to bring her up. And then Mary, not sure what's going on with your video because I saw you earlier, now I don't. So we're having some really weird technical difficulties today they're not difficulties at all. We're making our way through them. But Sally, before we bring up our next guest, I wanted to ask you about your chapter because you did write a chapter in the book, Boldly Pursuing My Gifts. So I want you to talk about your chapter a little bit, and then we're going to bring up our next authors.
Yeah, well, you know, in my chapter, I talk about, you know, the process that we all go through, and that whole, you know, what are my gifts? How do I go about discovering them? And you know, it's this whole I've been into self development since I was in my 20s. I love reading self help books and all that, and the whole mind body spirit connection thing has always been part of my journey and throughout my life. And so you know, that's why I love being part of this book. And it's that process of pursuing your gifts and that whole self-care, self-development. And how do you go about doing that? And, you know, just go out and do it.
Just go out and do it. Is that easy?
Do it. Just do it.
Just get out there and do it. Fantastic. Well, you know, it's been an incredible journey with you. And, you know, thanks so much for joining us over here at Action Takers Publishing. Sally is the Vice President of Author Development and, you know, joined the team about a year and a half ago. And it's been an incredible, oh my gosh, it's almost 2 years ago now. It's been an incredible journey. And when I woke up this morning and I saw that we were international a bestseller on this book, Women with Healing Gifts, the book we're talking about today, this was a big deal because it's not been showing up in the rankings in any of the countries. And finally, this morning, on launch day, it started showing up in India. And we're number 4. We're shooting for number 1, of course. So if you're in India, thank you so much for watching us. Go to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing and not only cash in on gifts from the authors, but also get your copy, Kindle version of the book right over there. And you'll help us to hit that number 1 spot. We're also up against the Terminator. The Terminator.
That's so cool.
We're number 10 and he's number 5. We'd love to pass him up. Like I like to set these little goals, you know, a little bit at a time. And that's one of the goals today is to pass up the Terminator so we can say that we dominated the Terminator or we terminated the Terminator. So what we're going to do next is we have a couple of our authors that we're going to bring up. We have Anjana. It looks like she finally has video showing. That's awesome. We have Lauren. She's here. And we have Mary. So everybody is in the house ready to bring them up. I'm going to show a short video commercial and I'm letting Sally know what we're doing next, y'all, because we haven't had time to talk this morning before we got started. So Sally, we're going to do a short commercial. When we come back, you and Laurel will be on the screen and I'm going to be back behind the scenes running the board to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Okay. So we'll see you guys in 33 seconds.
Good morning, Sally.
Hey, Laurel, how's it going?
Yeah, so happy to be here and everything that's happening with the launch. And yeah, our rankings are we're moving up in the rankings. And Arnold, you better watch out.
I know it's so much fun, and you know, launch day is always fun when we launch these books, and this is such a great group of women that we've compiled together for this book. Now, have you gotten to know most of them, just through this process, and what has that meant for you, connecting with some of these powerful, healing women?
Yeah. It's, you know what, just expanding my own circle of friends and my inner circle, in that being able to talk on topics that are familiar to me, but this field is not something that you talk about with your neighbors necessarily, because it's there's all of us have gone through a lot of training, aside from our personal experience. It's triggered, for what I see for all of the authors. It's the challenges or the obstacles in life or the struggle has created that questioning. There's something more going on here. So they've all searched out extra training, and for most of them it became a part of their own self-healing journey, but then it became something that really was a big part of their everyday life and turned into service of others. So it's been just such a pleasure to meet others. And Lauren, yes, Lauren, talking
Hi.
with Lauren before she went over the ocean, and I believe you're overseas today, but a Canadian girl like me, so it was really great to connect and hear about your journey and how you work with other people.
So Lauren, why don't
thank
you
you
talk
so
a little
much.
bit about that, and talk about your journey through the book, and a little bit about your chapter.
Sure. And I do have to apologize. I am over in Italy and I'm about to start a walking tour in like 5-10 minutes. So
Sounds
it's going to be a
rough.
brief, yeah. So it is going to be a brief appearance that I'm making, but I'm so excited to celebrate this book and to just really thank everyone, for anyone who's bought the book, who has been a part of it, because it was so therapeutic for me. I think in the chapter that I wrote was, lessons I had to learn to begin healing myself. And that's, going through that process of reflection and really looking at what are all these kind of instrumental, almost golden nugget milestone things that might have seemed really, non-monumental at the time, that were really impactful. Just having that chance to look back was really, really cool. And I think what propelled me into this space now, where I feel like those could be lessons that I had learned in my own life. They're unloading a bunch of luggage right now. I'm on a canal in Venice. It might be a little noisy. So, but it was, yeah.
I just had to come up to say, poor thing. That's all.
Go
my
have
gosh.
fun and enjoy yourself. Have fun in Italy. Have a glass of wine for
Thank
me.
you. I will. But I want to thank you all so much. And I'm excited to read, everyone else's chapters, because I know, speaking for myself, how therapeutic this was to really acknowledge. And
Okay, we lost her.
I guess she's on her tour now.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a couple more authors in the wings. Let's bring in Jana up. I know she's been having technical difficulties, and hopefully we'll be able to see and hear her now. And Mary Elizabeth Jackson is here, so we're really excited to share this book out. Healing women with healing gifts. And so, Mary, why don't you tell us a little bit about your chapter, why you decided to be part of this book, and what your chapter title means for you.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Laurel, I want to say, and Sally and Linda, just thank you for saying yes to this. The passion on your heart, what God has led you to do and told you, okay, you have to do this, right? Because that's how we hear it. We have to do this, right? So thank you guys. And I'm so excited to be here. And so, my chapter in this book is the depth of a woman's healing power. And I decided I wanted to be a part of this book because I feel like, we are really powerful as women, and men are powerful too. We all have different gifts, right? And different abilities and life experiences, period. So I don't know, something said, you have to do this book. And I'm so glad it's finally here. And so like this is my 5th anthology. This is my 4th one with Action Takers Publishing. So anybody out there who's listening and watching and it wants to do this, but not sure about doing it. Okay, this is my 4th one, and it's not ever any less exciting, anytime. It doesn't matter how many times. But I really love the title of this book, and I love what it means, and I know how many experiences I've had in my life with the gift of healing. And it doesn't have to be, we don't really have magic wands, even though sometimes, well, we all wish we did, but, just the power of love throughout my life and with my children, what that healing has, gotten me through, that power of that healing, what it's gotten me through in my children, because like most of us, a lot of us have had trauma and challenges and sometimes unspeakable things you just don't know that you're ever going to come back from. And it's that power of love, and it's that power that's within us. That helps us get through, to carry us. And we pass that hopefully down onto our children so that they can see, okay, mom is resilient, can be resilient. I can be resilient. And that's a really powerful thing to share the example of, and then be able to also share it with your child. But, we just really, one of the quotes that I think Linda and Sally used for my advertisement, what my little thing was that, we all have these traumas and tragedies and challenges, but they don't define us in this life. We don't live our life by that. If we do, we stay stuck. So in order to move forward, we have to go, okay, so this happened to me. So I have this, and I have this, and I have this, and I have this, or maybe we have it all over our shirt, but we don't let it keep us stuck where we are. And we learn what we have to learn from it, and we grow, and we let it kind of use those positive things that we can take from it, put it in our toolbox, our little belt, and move us forward so that we can, we're intended to help each other. We're not intended to do this by ourselves, are we?
Well, I love what you're saying, Mary, and the work that you do in advocacy for children, and exactly what you said about being the role model for our children. That's generational healing. That's how we break the patterns of trauma, is by the self-care and putting into action that advocacy, using our voice and the power of us as women. Like you said, men are strong, but women really are powerful in that in a way, a nurturing, compassionate, healing way. And you're such an inspiration. The work that you do, you're changing laws, like that just really spoke to me when I saw, some time ago when I met you, about being in the house of the law, where they write the laws, and you're affecting change in a very powerful way for children, but also for women, in just through being you. I just love you so much, Mary. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Laurel. I really appreciate that. And I love Sally and Linda and Laura. We had a great, interview on your show. And what I love is that, we're all coming together, and we're all coming from places that aren't perfection, right? And we're bringing it to the table, and we're using it with each other to really help lift up. And none of us are like, well, I'm better than you because I've been through more, because I've been in groups like that, right?
Yeah.
And some of them have been special need groups with moms with kids, with challenges. And I'm just like, wait, no, we can't do that. We can't judge what someone else has been through, because everybody's experience is different, even though we can relate. Like Linda was talking about being an empath. That's a big thing that we have to not take on other people's stuff. But, when somebody says something to you and they tell you a story and you're like, I totally understand. Sometimes that offends other people, right? But if you're a compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic person, you may have had something similar, so you can understand sort of a basis there of what somebody might be feeling, to be able to have compassion for them. You didn't have the same experience, but you certainly know what it feels like to be hurt or betrayed or lost or, traumatized. So we really are all connected, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, I love what you said. And what one of my influencers would say, make your mess your message. And
Mm.
really, that's what we do when we heal our lives. We go through the process of whatever it is, getting help, finding the coach, or finding the teacher that gives us the tools, because we can't do it alone. And that's everything that you do, Mary, is about that. It's about community and bringing people together for the greater, higher good of the children, but also for the future. The children are our future. So,
Yes, they are. And Linda, we have our color on.
I don't know.
I have some breaking news. I have to break in here. Okay,
go,
y'all.
go.
First of all, thanks so much, Mary, for being part of this. I've known Mary for several years, and it's been an incredible journey. So breaking news, we moved up in the rankings. We're number 9. We were earlier number 10, and Arnold was 5. We're now number 9, and he's number 6. We're closing in on him, ladies.
Right.
The Terminator, we're going to dominate the Terminator. That's our exciting news, breaking news right now. So
That
go to
is so
Action
fun.
Takers. We go to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. Get your copy of the book, Women with Healing Gifts, and help us to hit that number 1. Help us to pass Terminator. Okay, I'm going to go back. Thank you so much. I just thought I'd hop in here. Breaking.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. The power of community. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mary, I know you had a health scare just not that long ago. And how did healing come into play with that? I know you were really sick with the COVID.
Oh yeah, the name that we don't name, right? The
I
name that
wasn't
we
going
never
to say
say.
it. I wasn't going to say it, but I did.
Yeah. So, I was in the hospital twice, and I didn't know if I was, I've never felt that close to death in my whole life. So that was really, well, there are no words to express going through something like that, right? And you have 3 children who need you. So and I didn't hear your whole question, Sally, but I heard like the end of it, about, I think you asked, how did it affect me, or how did I get through it? Was that your question?
Well, how did the healing, the healing aspect work into that?
Okay. Well, I've been doing, I guess, uncertified Reiki my whole life, not knowing it, right? And so that's where you have you feel the energy come through your hands. So I did a lot of when I was, because you're in bed a lot, right? Sleeping a lot. I did a lot of energy healing on myself every day. I laid there and I would visualize my body healed. I would visualize myself up and doing things. I would visualize myself being normal again, I guess, if you want to call it, and taking in love, and then asking my body, what is it that I need to do right now? What is it that I need? What does my body need from me right now? What do I need to do for myself? So it was a lot of self-care. Like it was, I guess, if self-care had drank a Red Bull or some sort of a power drink and said, okay, you are doing this right now. So, a lot of that came into play for me. And I read a book at that time, about energy and our body. And so I learned some things that I didn't know already. And it really made a huge impact for me. And it was like the book laying on my bedside table was screaming at me to read it. And I was like, oh, I can't even stay awake to read. So, but I started reading it, and then I started journaling for myself. And then I started putting these exercises into play that that the book talked about. And I finally started to see myself coming out of this fog, because I was, it was a good almost 2 months for me. I was really, really, really sick, and our whole family had it. And so my oldest daughter and I had it the worst and ended up with long COVID. So, we're over 2 years now, and I'm so thankful for the healers that I have in my life, because I've been able to heal my body of a lot of things that there are a lot of people with long COVID are still dealing with. So I'm really grateful for that. But, our bodies really do have the power to heal. And so we have to learn to be able to tune into that part of ourselves, because we do have that power. And part of that visualization is, I can't speak enough for visualization, but you've got to see it, feel it, hear it, taste it. You got to do all the things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Anjana, are you able to unmute? And I'd like to hear your thoughts on the whole energy, and talk a little bit about your role in the book.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
No, I think that's me talking.
Oh.
It may be that she's frozen. Anjana?
The tech stuff is just.
I know. The tech gremlins, we want them to go away.
That's unfortunate. I love Sally. I love how you asked Mary the question, and being so conscious of your words, your languaging, and Mary's so aware of this too. This is something with all of the healers, the women, is that we're so aware of our languaging, the words that we use, because we do create wellness and all the other through the words that we speak, because behind every word is an emotion, and behind every emotion is a thought. So this is part of how our environment, our experiences are created. So I loved the exchange that happened there, Sally. You were wanting to get that conversation going without saying the words. And the tech is kind of playing with us today there too, but we will win. Something that I learned early on in when I was learning tech years back, my first coach, she said, whenever you're really onto something, whenever you're really close to being where you want to be online or in your business, the tech gods will come up to try to disrupt. So we're on to something really hot today. This is a really and in the energy workers field that we're so familiar with, this tech challenges are not unusual, because it's just kind of the way we're disruptors. Arnold may be the Terminator, but us women are disruptors of old patterns.
Well, yeah, we just our energy is too overpowering or something. I think it'd be really funny if somebody knew someone in his camp and could tell him, we're coming up behind him, and then he'll probably post, "I'll be back if we beat him."
Yeah, I love it.
But that's it. I think this book is just highly energized, and there's an energy to this book that the authors collectively have put into this. That's going to make it, I think, something that's going to affect things on the other side. I mean, it's going to affect the world.
I have to just add to that too, Sally, that I so agree with you, because it really changed the whole process from the time I started with, as soon as I heard the title, and it's like, yes, I have to be involved with this. And so I jumped in. But my life, and it's the same, there's a pattern with all the other authors. Things changed after we got into it. And if I were to write my chapter for this book today, it would be totally different. So it just shows the evolution of what's happening. It speaks to the times that we live in, but also it's really synchronicitous that these times really are bringing people together. So the women in this group are really conscious of that. So great stories. It really brought together a really synchronicitous group of people to be in this book. And it is going to be something that is timeless. The stories are timeless.
Yeah. And I love that, each person puts their own little spin on it. And that's what's so great about these collaboration books is it's, a little piece of somebody here and a little piece of somebody here, and they just fit. They just fit together, and it makes it so that you read a story, and they're short little stories that you can read in one sitting and get to know somebody, and maybe even then reach out to them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, that's what makes these collaboration books just so much fun to, number one, put together, but number two, to release out into the world, because you know that the readers are going to get something from them, and encourage the readers to even reach out to the authors, because they are real people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, when you read a book, you look at the author, and you don't think about reaching out to them. But I think with our books, I don't know, have you guys, Laurel, you've done
Oh,
other books, and Mary, have people reached out to you because of being in these collaboration books, and could one of you, maybe
yeah. This one really has that unique flavor of and the message of do reach out to us. And I believe that wasn't intended in the beginning. It is so much that way, but it's become a way that we're able to extend our healing gifts, and the inspiration of it. I really felt that as I was speaking with each of the authors when I interviewed them, that there was, there's this common ground again of I'm here to serve. And that's what each of these authors is here to do. Mary's a really good example of that. Like she's in the book, but she's doing what she's just always done. Being Mary is about advocacy. It's about serving community. It's about giving a voice to those that don't have a voice yet. And every author that I spoke with, we did our interview, but there was so much connection and so much common ground that we spent an hour, before or afterwards, just sharing the experience, sharing our thoughts, and that kind of community is. I really value it, because it's not easy to find. Like you say, I don't go and talk to my neighbors about what I do. When they ask, it's like I've found ways to answer them. So it's kind of like really, because not everyone understands this, and not everyone is willing to do the work. Like Mary, you never saw yourself going to Parliament Hill. Oh, in Canada we call it Parliament Hill, but to go to that length, most people are not willing to go to that length. Most people, when they have their challenges in life, they bury them. That's and it's like we don't talk about that. Social media really encourages that kind of behavior, because like oh, I'm on here, life is great, and there's a fake world out there. What the authors in this book, it's all real, it's raw, it's authentic, and it really is about their journey to be able to step into that authenticity. And every single one of the women that I spoke with in this book are very aligned with the truth of their journey, and how they serve is their passion.
Mm. What very well said, Laurel. Yeah. And the thing is, with advocacy, there's so many different things and areas to advocate for. You know what I mean? Even the smallest things for ourselves. Like if you go to the doctor and the doctor doesn't listen to you and what you're saying, you got to advocate for yourself, right? And say, okay, you're not listening to me, and if you have to, change doctors. I had to change pediatricians with one of my children because the doctor wasn't listening, okay, even to what my child was saying. And so that mother instinct, I call it that God alarm we were born with, that helps us get through life. But, we have to understand we do have more power than what we believe. A lot of the world tells us we don't. Our families, childhood, way we're brought up, who we're married to, it doesn't matter. It happens that we're told, we really don't have any power. And we really do. We have a lot of power to make change in this world. We just, even if you don't believe in yourself, just do it for someone else.
Geez, Mary, you sound like a wave maker. Because exactly what you're speaking about is, what people shy away from. And each of the authors in this book have had to take a stand for yourself. As it started off for your children, but you've become such a powerful advocate in so many directions. Like you say, your health, our health is our responsibility. I feel that very deeply. And you're right. When you have to switch doctors, depending on the conditioning you grew up with, it's like, I have a great doctor. I love my doctor. But she understands me too. she'll sometimes say things, and she'll say, "You're not going to fill this prescription, are you?" It's like, you know, because, you know, but not everyone has that experience. And that's because I've had to be like you too, is take a stand for it. My child had medical challenges. And if I didn't take that stand, you know, but I was called wave maker. Why don't you just accept that it's your kid's turn to be bullied? Like, there's so many things that aren't right out there. So I would say that it's easy to guess that all of the women in this book that have written their chapter have arrived there because at some stage in their life they've been a wave maker. They've learned they had to take a stand, and each of them will say that. It was finally, I couldn't take anymore. I realized I had to do this in order to save my life, to change my life, to save my child. It's it is our birthright. We're born with this power that you speak about, Mary. It's so true.
We have to find it. We have to have that faith enough in ourselves, not what the world says about us, not what somebody else says about us. What do we feel about ourselves? You know, we have to find our truth, look in the mirror, and it's really hard. You know, I know Linda's done it. Sally, you've done it. Laurel, you've done it. You know, and this is not an ego thing at all. This is not about ego. This is about, who do I, at the core of my being, believe who I am to be, and who do I want to be in this world? You know, to serve a greater purpose than myself, you
Yes.
know? So it's some powerful questions that we have to ask ourselves. You know, we have to take ownership and responsibility, you know, of it, you know, look in the mirror and go, okay, what do I need to change or fix, right? To be the best version of myself. And what are we resonating at? What is our vibration saying every single day about us? How are we showing up? Positive, negative, heavy, light, all that stuff. And then, you know, what is our motivation and what we do? What are we motivated by? So I think those are that's our triangle as an adult. That's the three things that are very important, I think, for us to acknowledge and focus and work on. Because sometimes we were motivated by the brokenness of our childhood, you know, or we've been hurt, or we felt abandoned, you know. So we're hanging on maybe to something for dear life, and we really need to let it go, because it's not going to go anywhere. It'll still be there in our life, you know, or a person that we love. Like when my daughter went to college, I cried for a year before she even left. And then one day I had that light bulb moment go, oh, this is my abandonment stuff. It has nothing to do with her. It's me. It's all me. So as soon as I addressed that, then it was like, oh, she's going to college. She's not leaving the planet, you know?
So Mary, before we say goodbye, what is one thing you want the readers to take away from your chapter?
To never underestimate the power that is within you to heal, to not only heal yourself, but to heal those in your life that you love so much. And even those that you're advocating for, that power is in there. And don't ever underestimate it. Never. And if you have a calling and passion on your heart, then do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being part of this, for sharing your story in our book. And we are so happy that you joined us on this journey.
Me too. Love you ladies so much. Bye.
Everyone, we're going to have a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to be speaking with some more authors of the new international best-selling book, Women with Healing Gifts. Here we go. We are a #1 international best-selling book, in #1 in the U.S. in a few different categories. So, Laurel, what do you think so far? What's your biggest takeaway from today so far?
It's a continuation of my experience with meeting the authors in the book. Many of them I already knew, and I just you know, truly what Mary said about advocacy and how you come to that place of taking a stand each of the authors in the book are passionate about serving, and that's what brought them to being part of this project. So this book really inspires others as they read the stories to take a stand, to do the work, to start searching. I always say, don't believe anything I say. Question everything. It is your responsibility to your body, to your life, to your soul, to question, to find the answers, to go out and do the work, one foot at a time, one day at a time. And all of the authors have had that moment of, geez, I didn't think life would look like this, didn't call myself a healer. And that's certainly what the way we think about all of this, that we that may block us in our path, is that, well, how do I go from doing this to doing this? And the truth of it is it's not something you do, it's something that you are. So, and we all are born with this ability to be healers in our own life first. And that's about, our health, mind, body, and spirit. It really is. None of it's separate. I often say, how you do one thing, you do all things. And it shows and speaks to people's character and how they are about their life. Because you aren't different in your business than you are in your personal life. How you treat people, how you treat yourself shows up in all things that you do. And it really is true of each of the women that I've met in this book. They are, they've all been on a journey. They've all paid a price at some point in their life. They've paid a price to be who they are today, to serve. And they all do it with full on compassion and awareness about their impact in the world. And it's not about ego. It's about, how can I serve? How can I help? Where can I help? So
I love
women with that and just natural ability to want to take care of people, that's part of our healing gift. And sometimes it gets us in trouble in our life, in our health, but it's also that part that gives us our wake-up call, so that we find the healthier version of ourselves first.
Yeah. And I love the community that it creates. And like you said, it's people now that you can speak to about the healing that, normally you can't talk to your neighbor or other people because, they think you're kind of woo-woo. And so we have a couple of other authors that we're going to bring up. I think Linda and Gail Kraft are here, and we're going to continue the conversation. So here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hello, Gail. So nice to see you here. And we've known each other for several years also. So what I just want to just kind of wrap up on what Sally said about, not necessarily being able to talk to your neighbor about it. But here's the thing, you can definitely impact your neighborhood by that. We don't have to be out there. This is one of the first lessons I learned as a healer, I'll say, is that often we learn these things to heal others or something that can help others. And it becomes really uncomfortable when you go out and want to share all of that with other people that aren't ready to hear it. So the best way to do it is to be it. So to do the work on yourself first and model it. And I'm seeing it in my new neighborhood that we live in that isn't, that's new to me. And there's different kind of people here, and the challenges that come up with, in any kind of relationship. Instead of doing the work on others, thinking others have to change, we be the change. So my neighborhood is already changing just because I'm being my best version of me. And to me, that's what being a healer is about. So welcome, Gail. Welcome back, Linda.
Hey, ladies, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Why don't you talk a little bit, Gail, about your chapter and being part of this book, Left Behind Again and Again.
Yeah, so very interesting. That really is a whole string of events talking about abandonment. And one of the things I do say in the book is when I was in my early 20s, I I had someone say to me, "I'm not the person to heal your abandonment issues." Right. Right? And my response was, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have abandonment issues." Right. And just to let you know, my mom passed when I was 3. So that alone is an abandonment issue. And there were so many. And what was interesting is the choices that I made in life because of that until I woke up. I will say, Sally, that my gift as a healer is to heal the heart, right? To help people really identify with the love for themselves that they should have. And I could only do that after breaking my heart myself wide open. And that really, that's what the abandonment was all about, right? Broken, 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 broken until finally I sat down and said, what's going on here? What is it that I'm not learning that I need to learn about myself? Right. And in doing that healing, oh, it was huge, a huge aha for me.
Yeah, I think we all have periods throughout our lives where we feel broken, where we feel lost and stuck here. And we get to a point. I know, I've had several different times in my life where I've gotten to a point where I felt like I was in a downward spiral. And in my head, that's the way I saw it. And I got to a certain day and I said, you know what, if I don't start doing something differently right now, I'm going to get to the point where I'm not going to be able to pull myself out of this. And so, those were the times that I woke up. You talk about waking up. I woke up and said, all right, what do I need to do to pull myself out? Because I don't want to get to the point where it's going to be down. I'm going in this path. And so I would find different ways or connect with certain people. And this is through or read certain books in order to wake myself up to the fact and pull myself out. So what is you say you woke up. What does that mean for you? How did that happen?
Well, for me, of course, I was looking for family. My entire life, I was looking for family. I was looking to fit in. I was looking outside of me for that healing that should have been inside. And I found myself laying on the couch in Oregon with literally a broken heart, Sally. And as I was laying there, I thought, oh, I'm having a heart attack. People die from a broken heart. This is how you die from a broken heart. And I have a choice right now. And I'm thinking of all of this. I have a choice. Call 911 and go to the emergency room. And I know that they're going to start putting me on heart medicines, or figure out what is it that's going on in my life? What is the lesson I need to learn in order to heal so this does not continue to happen again? And I chose to face myself and, get into my body and identify, oh, I keep looking outside of me for healing when I'm not even broken, Sally. We're not broken. What is the lesson and the gift that I keep ignoring that my body is screaming to me to listen to? And I sat and I listened. And it sounds so simple, but it's not. And I thankfully had people to help me through that, and through that healing process, I've never had that experience again.
Yeah. Well, the whole right. It's simple, but it's not easy. A lot of times the solutions to our problems are simple, but they're not easy to implement, because of the junk that we have in our head and the things that we've been through before that we think are going to happen again. And um,
Well, it's the fear. So I was in a women's circle last night, and we were talking about the feminine, embracing the feminine. And my takeaway or my conversation was about, I was so masculine. Yes, Linda, I was, in corporate America, very successful. So allowing the male part of me to dominate. And when I realized that I wanted to step into the feminine, I was afraid that the masculine side of me would die. I thought I had to kill that part of me to let the other part survive. And it wasn't until I realized, wait a minute, I am both. I am the feminine, and I can't kill me. Well, I can, but I didn't want to, right? And all I had to do was allow the feminine part of me to express itself and not be afraid of that.
I
So
love
really,
what.
go
Sorry.
go ahead, my love.
I, yeah, I love you too. But again, the common theme, and I love what both of you have spoken to, is about that, getting to that low point in your life and recognizing that I have choice, and that's what differentiates us, right? So I used to feel so low in my life, and then it's like, then there was a basement. I thought it could only get so bad, but then I found the basement.
Oh my
And
God,
the
you can
basement
dig
was
under the basement. I've dug.
right. So that's that point of choice where we recognize that, okay, I surrender, and that's what I call or believe is our personal freedom. When we get to that place of trying to control everything because we think it should look a certain way, and what's wrong with us because it doesn't look like that, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and we do all of these external things that are so wrong for us, and it doesn't look like everyone else. We are snowflakes. we are unique, and we are all human, but we are unique in that. And that the empowering process that you do, that you've created, Gail, really speaks to that, because it's all about understanding where we come from. And the abandonment issues were about understanding the depth of that, and that's taking you on that path of connecting people with their foundation, where they come from, understanding
And
themselves at a soul level.
absolutely, mind, body, soul, like everybody's been saying. And Laurel, just like you, I'm sure when clients come to me, I've gone to therapy, I've seen other coaches, and this shit keeps coming up. What is going on? Right? And so they come to me almost like in desperation, in a last resort. And I love how, like you say, their face literally changes at the end of a session with me because they see themselves. And it's a beautiful transformation.
Right. Yes. So yeah, because all the work that I do is all about them seeing themselves, and their body, and yes, the light that comes into their eyes at a soul level, recognizing that, oh, geez, you can actually see this stuff. Well, it's not just me. Everybody else sees that. It's the flavor of, or the theme of your life. You can't hide it. Even though we think we're hiding it, others do recognize it, but it's often the thing that they aren't able to put it into words. So
Yes,
it's not the truth of who they are.
One of the questions Linda asked earlier was, when did you hide, or did you ever hide the gift that you have? And by the way, we all have a gift. And I saw my gift at like 8, 9, 10. I saw the gift, and I literally healed people in my early 20s. It's at that moment when I realized the power of what I had, and that I had no mentor to guide me, that I shut down, because I became afraid of what the heck is going on.
Well, because you're weird, right?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Right? You want me to exercise your house? What? And I did. But still, that thought of, there's this energy, this thing out there that I don't understand, and I don't know anyone to have that. I have people now who are amazing people that I can turn to and say, what's going on right now? And, Gail, it's normal. What's happening in the world, what's happening energetically, la, 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 la. It helps me lean in and accept my gift.
I love what you just said, because the discussion around, the word empath has become such a fad. And actually, what a lot of people are doing is attaching to a lot of negativity.
Right.
So really the power in being empathetic is about being able to look at, understand, and not attach. So that in itself, just to understand that and to get to that place is true healing. So you're right. And you've created quite a community, a very close-knit, small community, because there's a lot of falseness that happens in this field to searching for the truth of who we are, because there's a lot of people searching, and they are told a lot of things that don't necessarily benefit them. So
Well, and I want to say that what worked 10 years ago is not going to work today, because we as humans are evolving, and our awareness level as a collective is evolving. And so the vision board, and a vision board is going to work for you when you're at this level. And then one day you're going to go, why is the vision more? Because you've passed that level, you have evolved, and it's time for new tools. And that's why it's a journey. It's not a destination.
Right.
And that's why it's not one tool, right?
Yeah. What we talked about 10 years ago in this field was like so new and exciting. And now today is like, you hear it everywhere.
Right.
And even the term 3D, 5D, and it's, but we're seeing that we go back and forth. We're physical beings. We're physical in our body, but we're spiritual beings. And we're meant to have this super consciousness, this super awareness. We're born with it, but our conditioning, whatever we're born into, closes us down, partly as a protection, I believe, but until we're ready. So when we step into it,
it's interesting because everything's a story. So what I tell you, you don't have to believe. It's my story. Just to let you know, this is how I frame my world so that I have boundaries that I want to exist in. Okay. And that's all of us do, is we create our stories for our boundaries. And
exactly.
I know that I came here for the very experiences that I had, because I cannot possibly know what I like and what I want until I completely know what I don't like. That's the universal law of polarity, right? So I knew I did not like laying on the couch with a heart attack, right? And I had choices. And so the other side of that polarity is to be healed, right? And to experience peace in my body, and to experience space in my body. So here's something, and I love this, and I know I'm taking up space for you guys. I heard this on a podcast, and it changed my perspective. I no longer hold space. Imagine if you gave yourself permission to not hold space. That statement, holding space, is another fad word. And when I leaned into, okay, what would it feel like for me not to hold space? It was like, whoa, this like hidden tension in my cells that I didn't even know was there said, oh yes, she's letting us breathe now. We don't have to hold this space. We can actually let space be space. That's the kind of woo-woo stuff we talk about.
I hear you.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you believe that there's a mass awakening, that people are awakening to these energy fields? Or do you think that because your frequency has changed and that you're just connecting with these people who are always there?
Column A and column B. I actually do. So what's happening is those of us who have had this gift or have been aware, because we all have it, are coming out of the closet. I'm not kidding. We're coming out of the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And in coming out of the closet, like I met a guy in New York, and he goes, why haven't I met you until now? And I said, because I wasn't energetically ready to hold this conversation until now. He's like, holy crap, you're phenomenal. Right. And so that's what's happening is, so I'm getting out there, people who are who have been in the closet are getting out there and are like, oh, hi, right? And we're forming a collective. And those who are hungry for more are going, she's got it, he's got it, it's over there. I want some too. Who do I need to connect with? So that's why I say it's column A and column B. It's both, Sally.
Yeah. Laura, what do you think?
I totally agree. And you know what? It's a big topic to bring all together in one. In that, there's many different directions of belief. I believe there's many different planes of existence. So you can believe what you believe, and I see it this way, and the other person will see it the other way. And I believe in the end, we're all spiritual beings here to have a human experience. Our times are changing. There is an unseen world, and there are unseen forces that are creating experiences that I still can't explain, and many people attempt to explain, and there's very few that really know what's going on. If there is.
And it's synchronicity that is insane right now. Right?
That we can even have this conversation is amazing.
100 years ago, we would have been burnt at the stake. Come on. Maybe
10 years ago?
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago. And that's where our technology has changed us so much. Just that we can be here and be touching all areas of the globe right now with this message, connecting, like Gail said, connecting to others that have a message, looking for a message, or want to hear our message. This is mass consciousness. This is how it's, and nobody can predict what it's going to look like. To stay out of the energy, the frequency of fear is probably the safest way to think about it. So the energy flows where the attention goes. So if we are constantly promoting the fear-based, the conspiracy, whatever it is, I don't even like that word anymore. What I used to think was conspiracy is actually more real than I thought, and it doesn't matter. It's still it's important to be aware. It's important to be aware, and what trumps that is being healthy in our body, mind, and our environment. And we create that little ripple. And if we don't listen to the neighbor's negativity, we shut that off. That's just one little way. We stop that ripple.
I don't even hear it anymore. I'll be talking to people and they'll go, well, it is terrible, but blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Nor do I want to know. Nor do I want to know. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want that energy in my sphere, because what's going on over there has nothing to do with what's going on in here. Why would I bring it in when it has nothing to do with me? So Sally, I do want to say my takeaway that I would love everybody to really integrate is you are so much more than you even ever could imagine. So much more.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to head over to a commercial. Head over to actiontakers.com/healing and pick up your copy. It will open new worlds. We guarantee it. We'll be right back with Maria. I'm muted. I just love the fact that, this book can open new worlds, can open new, can increase our energy, can increase our frequency. And it seems to have a lot of energy because it's messing with the tech today. A lot of people have been having problems getting on and all this stuff, but we have terminated it. We are right now we are up against Arnold Schwarzenegger and in one of the categories of our book on Amazon, and we are 3 steps away from overpowering him. So we're asking everyone to head on over to Amazon to get the Kindle version of this book and help us reach #1. Laurel, Gail, it's been great having you both here, and we're going to bring Maria up, and we're going to talk with her about her chapter in the book, Women with Healing Gifts. Hey, Maria, it's great to see you. Your chapter title is Honoring My Gifts. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you came up with that title and why you decided to be part of a book called Healing Gifts?
Well, hi everyone. How's everyone doing today? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, my chapter is called Honoring My Gifts because my grandma was a healer. I grew up seeing that she was always healing people. The way to her door was always a line of people waiting to be healed. Lines, and for me being a child, seeing that part, it was, wow, there's such a long line of people waiting to see my grandma. I didn't understood at that point what was going on because I was very little. And so that was why I decided to name my chapter Honoring My Gifts, because through the process of my life, I've been doing that part. I was aiding people, being the best selves. And at one point in my life, I kind of felt like I didn't want to do it anymore. It was a time of grief, and it was too much. So I didn't want to do it because it was a lot, because my energy levels was very low. And so, but during that process, there was something that I needed to learn to respect and honor those gifts, because it showed me the humanity in myself and a lot of people that came to my aid during that process. And but also people that were not so good. So that was where I had to really focus how to let go and how to embrace. And when I decided to let go of what was not good for me in my life and embrace the healthy people, the being better for everyone else so that I could follow on with what I love to do. It was a very, very powerful decision, because when you decide, that's part of your inner self, decide that that's what you're going to do, wow, is on another level. It's literally you raise your energy and vibration so high that nothing else can really penetrate your energy. And you can be anywhere with people they're having issues, but you just go and share part of what you have because it's a gift, but knowing that you can also close that part because you're only supposed to share and allow those people to feel the goodness that the world has for them too.
Yeah,
and so that was.
It sounds like this has been quite a journey for you in discovering your gifts. What was the biggest thing your grandmother taught you about doing this? Or did you learn a lot from her? I mean, did she school you on this stuff?
Well, the funny thing is that she didn't really school any of her grandkids because we were always playing around, but we were always watching what grandma was doing. It was like a sacred and safe space in our home. And So I used to see her doing a lot of things with herbs. Uh, and it was funny because she will be taking care of someone and she would just, didn't even look at anyone. She would just say, I need this. And anyone in the line outside would just really go and get what she needed. That she didn't even have to leave her place to go and look for anything because anyone was always there to help her and aid her in what she needed to do for someone. And that's what I got to see. And I think that's part of what I end up doing up to this day. That I don't need people to tell me what I should do or I need to do. I just do it, but with love in my heart and understanding that that's part of who I am.
I loved meeting you, Maria. We've known each other for a bit of time, and every time we talk, I learn more about your story. And you really are unique in how you're a third generation healer, at least. It might even be farther back than that, because where did your grandmother learn a lot of this? And you've lived a life that is, you're so in a natural flow of what it is that you're supposed to be doing, but you still dealt with many of some of the issues like the other authors did. It's questioning what it is you're to be doing. And your mother also was living the example of the results of having the upbringing from your grandmother. So it literally is in your blood. It's in your DNA that you are a healer, but also you're born to serve with it. And it's just been such a natural thing for you to do. And I loved hearing your story of how you share and how it's just part of your everyday life.
So, Maria, I'm curious, was there ever a time that you felt that you did not want to follow in the footsteps of your ancestors, right? That, maybe this is, a bunch of bunk, or maybe embarrassed about what was going on in your house versus what's going on in the rest of the world at the time? I mean, was there ever a time where you resisted your calling?
I don't think I was ever embarrassed about my ancestors. For myself, I thought it was just normal. I never even thought that what I was doing was because of them. It was just something that I grew up with, and it was natural. Uh, but no, the time that I questioned big time was when I was in grief. In grief because I really, really, it is a very, very nasty place to be in. But I think clinging back to what my grandma was and my mom was and how I lived in my childhood was what brought me back from the darkness. And for me, that's wow.
I love that. Brought you back from your darkness. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that is a common thread for all of us, is that deep, dark place that we don't want to talk about, but comes in like right in our face, right? Right in our face, right?
Yeah.
Right. If we don't, right? Because our gift can't come through without that. Talk, if you don't mind, share a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. Well, it was after my mom died, actually. There was a lot of things that happened during her death and after her death. And I was in grief because I was her caretaker for many years. And I spoiled her. She became actually like my kid because she was in a wheelchair. So I believe that by the time that she passed away, I was like depleted, like energetically depleted. And I went into depression, and I started seeing and feeling different. And so what I did was, because I was feeling angry, and wow, when you really don't feel those emotions, it can kind of like, what's going on here? I had to question myself because I never felt those emotions. And hatred, but not hatred in in particular to anyone. It was just hatred itself. And I said, wow, those are very, very nasty emotions. Why am I feeling those things? And so what I did was that I decided to isolate myself, literally. And the purpose behind it was because I said, I'm not good. I'm sick, emotionally and spiritually. And if I'm this way, I'm going to be hurting people. And so that's what I did. But during that process, and I would tell you, it was like a whole year. But during that process, uh, since you are not close to people around you, your energy starts filtering because you're no longer around other people. So you're only dealing with your own energy. And so that's like, okay. And I started questioning my soul and said, okay, what do I need? What do I need to get from this phase? Because it is not good. And I feel like crap. So, okay. So I started following my inner guidance. And I said, you know what? Show me the way because I am freaking lost. And this is a nasty place to live. But
No, I'm sorry to cut you off, Maria. I just
yeah,
have to say thank you so much for sharing one line that I was hurting so much, I knew I would hurt other people. That is one thing. So many people in our field, right, when they get to that place, don't turn within, don't stop what they're doing and cause it more harm than good. And so I just wanted to honor you for making that choice. So you can continue with your story, but I was just so impressed that you had the wherewithal to pull in to heal before going back out.
yeah. And part of the healing for me was going back to my childhood, embracing, and it's hard because you're totally disconnected at that point. I was disconnected. And I went back out into my garden and literally just dance and focus on, because I have a lot of trees and flowers, and I focus on the flowers, the smells, not on anything in particular. Just allow myself, just for all of my senses, to focus in the smell of the flower, the beauty in it, and it took time. It's not something that is gonna happen right away. And you have to be very focused and doing on a constant basis, because I will go every day out there and I will just allow for nature to embrace me and focus on any little fruit. I will choose something to kind of filter anything that needed to be filtered within my heart and my soul and my spirit.
And so you've come through the other side, and you're sharing your story in this book and sharing your gift with the world, because you had this sense that you needed to heal. And I don't even like that word heal. You know, Laurel, we need to come up with better language. Because we're not broken, right?
No.
Our body is telling us something, right? You were going through a mourning, right? You needed to allow yourself to mourn, right? And that pain of mourning, right? Your life is changed. Any change is a mourning, because you're letting go of the old and you're embracing the new. And you don't just embrace the new and say, it's okay that I let the old go. There's an honoring of changes happening. What does that mean to me? Right. And sometimes we have to, I've just done that myself. I just went through a few weeks of literally vegging out, like meditating to the point where I fell asleep, because I had so much going on and I was changing so much. I had to do something to allow it to happen and not be concerned about what the end result is going to be. Right. So, so when you came out of this, what was happening?
I started feeling better. I started delving in going out, kind of testing the waters, how I was feeling. And it's kind of like you have to go face your triggers. I did that. I literally went out there and said, what's triggering me? What do I need to look at more deeply to kind of, I don't think eradicate, kind of to understand it so that I can shift it. And I did it. I did that for quite a while with any feeling that I was feeling. I will do it, and then I will come home and I will write down and just, I mean, that is so amazing. Because when you don't really, for myself, I'm speaking, have really felt those emotions, feelings, and doubts, you can get scared because you don't understand what's going on. And so for me, that was part of writing and understanding myself more. And that's why when I allow myself to go outside and to check into the flowers, that is what you were talking about, Gail. That when you look at nature itself, it's showing us
So
that
Maria, you
life.
have, oh, sorry. Maria, you have a real soft spot for women who are making their way in the world. You've been working with different charities that help women get themselves back out into the world, to the workforce. And that, would you talk about the work that you do there a little bit, please?
I worked for women with domestic violence about 20 years ago, and for me that was a blessing. It also showed me part that it's like an ecosystem. You know, there's good people and there's bad people. There's bad people that have issues, but they are not self-aware, and they have to seek if they want change. What I learned through the process was because I was dealing with the support group for women, but I was also leading the support group for men, the group that the they were court mandated. And it was freaky listening to how they would express the men about why they were there. They were not willing to change. They didn't see that they had done anything wrong. They just knew that they had to go through the program. And they will really say a lot of nasty things about women. And they were hurt souls, because that's why they were there. But they were just not aware of why they were there or what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, working there was understanding the ecosystem of life too. It's just like the seasons. There's the good and there's the bad. And you decide what is it that you want to feed. You want to feed the good or you want to feed the bad? Because it's a choice every day that you get up.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, we talked a little bit, about the healing journey. And a lot of times I think when people think about healing, it's more of a physical thing, the physical healing, they're hurt. But there's a lot of emotional and spiritual healing that people have that maybe they don't seek help with. So how can we encourage people to seek help with their emotional wounds or their spiritual wounds? And what has been your how have you dealt with that, helping people emotionally and spiritually heal those wounds in going forward?
I just encourage them and guide them because I just guide them and they do all the work for themselves. We cannot do the work for them. There's something that I learned in the trainings is that they have to do the work for themselves because that actually empowers them to live a great life for them when you are no longer there. And so Everywhere I go, I just show up, aid, and guide, and they leave. And then I see them bloom. And that is beautiful when you see them bloom, because you see them going here and there, doing their things, and you're, wow, because you were just part of the process. And a lot of people want to be the end process, and no, it's sometimes we're just part of the process, and accepting that is, wow, a healing.
One of the things I hear with you is, that trusting your intuition and knowing what to tell people to do. And, you talked a little bit about, knowing that you had to go out and sit in your garden and look at that rose or the flowers and smell it and be in that moment and, just be outside. So how does trusting your intuition make you more spiritual or more of a healer? And how do you tell someone else to tap into that? How do people know to do that?
For me, it's by seeing them. When you see them, they start feeling, oh, I'm worthy. I can do this. And by just planting words of encouragement and love and nourishment. Because most of the time they just need a little bit of nourishment.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to be open to receive. We can't force them to receive what they're not ready to receive.
Yeah. And it's encouraging them to go on that journey, right? For that whole self-discovery journey and getting them excited about it.
Yeah. It's like a little kid going on a little adventure.
Yeah, I love that. Gail?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, what was your question? I was so involved with what Maria was saying. I totally.
Do you want to ask Maria her last question?
Oh, yes. So, Maria, if you have some people that you know that are reading this book, what would you like their takeaway to be?
That they are also healers. Every human being is a healer. We came here to do something great for ourselves and for the planet. But it's up to you to choose.
Thank you so much,
beautiful.
Maria, for joining us, for being part of this book, Women with Healing Gifts. Head on over to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing, pick up your copy, and we will be right back.
Oh my God, Sally, this has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm having a great time behind the scenes, checking all the rankings, seeing what we're doing with this book. These are always, I almost call it action takers with healing gifts. Well, it's action taking women with healing gifts is what it really is. And I just wanted to take a moment because both you and I are in this book. We both have chapters. And I wanted to just take an opportunity for us to be able to interview each other because normally we don't get interviewed during this process. So Sally, I'm going to start with you. The title of your chapter is, oh my gosh, I don't have it handy. What's the title of your chapter?
Boldly Pursuing My Gifts.
Yeah, it's so weird. I had it on my screen. Yeah, Boldly Pursuing My Gifts. So what's your chapter all about, Sally? And how'd you come up with that title?
It's just my journey through life since, and I think I even talk about, the self-reflection and how, I've been a spiritual being my whole life. I mean, I talk about my childhood and then going into adulthood and how I've always felt that connection to spirit. And then just, not even realizing, I think that had the healing gifts, or that I could heal myself and others. But, through this process and through the many years, just discovering that, and then going after my gifts. And I think a lot of times I kind of hid my gifts, only because either I felt like if I put them out there, that others would either be jealous of them, or others would, if I was pursuing them, and it was you talk about the fear of judgment and what are people going to say. And so sometimes a lot of times I did shy away from putting myself out there, because when I did, people would say, "Oh, who does she think she is?" or that kind of stuff. Um, so it's stepping into that, pursuing it, and trying really hard not to shy away from it.
But I love that you mentioned that, because that was my next question was, did you shy away from it? And if so, how did you come into it and start sharing? Do you still find yourself shying away from it from time to time, or are you like beyond that now?
I do. I know I've talked with you about it. My church is going through a transition right now. And at one point I felt that, I'm kind of the stationary person who's the spiritual link in that church, because I've been there for so long. And I felt that everybody was looking to me for spiritual guidance, and for being, and I was ready to walk into that. But I really, I was like going back and forth and arguing with God, and saying, what is this really? Is it me? Is it, what people want me to be? Or is it God telling me to do this? So it's really having that discernment and trying to figure all that stuff out, and just doing what you can at the time.
I think that's a big piece right there, that discernment, as of knowing, whoever it is that we look to for that guidance. There's so many different names now. I don't am going to try to name them all, right? But it doesn't matter. The point is that we're looking to guidance from somewhere outside of ourselves, when it's actually really inside of us. Like God is inside of us, right? God is love. And so when we look at that discernment piece is like, am I doing this? Am I saying yes because my people pleaser tendencies are coming back up? Am I saying yes because this sounds fun in the moment? And am I saying yes because they need me, really? Or am I saying yes because this is the path I should be on? Like, is this part of my purpose? And this is something only we can figure out ourselves. A lot of times we'll reach out to other people to ask for advice about something. Is like, do you think I should do this? Do you think I should? Really, we shouldn't be asking them. We shouldn't be asking them. We should be asking ourselves, and asking whoever it is or whatever it is that we believe in, because that's the real guidance. The human being is not the one that's going to help us to guide us in the right direction, not necessarily. Now, once we've decided, and we can reach out to that person and say, can you help me get there? Now that's a completely different energy. So I love that you shared that, and you've stepped into that position. And then as well, like at your church, like you were mentioning, at your church, you've not only stepped into that position, but you've also put up barriers and said, this is as far as I'll go.
Correct.
And I think that's a key too. So how did that feel to do that? Because you've been in this church for decades. And how did it feel to not only step into that, but to say, I'm going to put up a barrier, and, here's my barrier to protect myself. I need to protect myself.
Right.
You're the self-care rock star. You got to protect yourself, right?
Well, that's it. And, when it comes with, the whole pursuing your gift is setting those barriers, and that's, breaking barriers, changing the world. You've got to set those barriers. And one of the things, I said is, I'll help you get started, but I'm not the one that's going to bring you through this, so and that's what I really felt. And it's that, we talked with Maria just earlier about your intuition, and that was my intuition. I felt, all right, I need to help them through the beginning part of this, but I'm not the one that's going to lead them, through the end of this. And so it's setting those boundaries, knowing exactly, listening to that voice, being able to discern what it is you want, and trusting your intuition enough to go forward. I'll just tell you a quick story. The other day it was raining, it was pouring out, and in the backyard the sun was breaking through some clouds. And I said to Billy, I said, this is rainbow weather. There's a rainbow outside. And we were in the house, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm saying, I'm telling you, go outside, there's a rainbow. And he went outside, he said, I don't see anything. Well, about 5 minutes later, I went onto Facebook, and all my neighbors were posting pictures of rainbows that were out there. And I was like, I knew there was a rainbow out there. It was just that trusting that instinct when you have it. So, it's being able to tap into that.
Okay, well, I'm trusting my instinct that the Northern Lights will be shining very bright on September 15th in Fairbanks, Alaska, because my husband and we're flying in on September 14th, and we're flying home September 16th. So the Northern Lights have to show themselves that day. And I'm calling it into existence. And other people are helping me to call it into existence. So, again, thank you so much for being part of this whole journey, and joining us here on the team at Action Takers Publishing, as the VP of Author Development. It's so exciting. This book here, what we're talking about today, is Women with Healing Gifts. And this book has been, in the making for quite a while. It's here today as the official launch. When we publish the book, because what happens is you publish a book and then you create a launch date after that time, because you want to make sure that the book is actually published before you create a launch date. So we published it and then created the launch date. And then what we do next is we make it so that the book will rank on Amazon. And in doing so, up until last night, I went to bed at 12:30, at Pacific time last night. And when I went to bed, the book was only ranking in the US. We have people who are buying in other countries, but it's not ranking yet. And so it gets a little like nail biting kind of thing. And I woke up this morning and there it was, number 4 in India. So India, you pulled through. Thank you so much. And we were able to get it to show in the rankings. Now, what was crazy about that is that up until yesterday when I went to bed, the link going out to India, you weren't even able to purchase. So I'm sorry, it was the day before. You weren't even able to purchase in India because there was something going on in Amazon that it wasn't able to show up. But here we are today. It's already an international bestseller book, best-selling book, which is awesome. We're shooting for that number 1 spot. And then also we have the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's number 6 in one of the categories in the US, and we're number 9. So we're looking to dominate the Terminator. Okay. So if you can help us do that, go to actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. Get your copy of the book today, especially you daddies out there, because all of us are daddy's girls. So go ahead and get your copy of the book today. So Sally, I know you have a question for me about my chapter.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell us a little bit? I mean, you were hesitant about being in this book at first, and then you wrote your chapter, Fear Breathed Life Into Me. Talk a little bit about that. How did fear come into healing?
Well, I was very hesitant about writing a chapter because I never have seen myself as a healer in any way, shape, or form. It's just not something I've ever looked at. And as the chapters started coming in, I said, now, wait a minute, maybe I do have a healing gift. Maybe I'm not a healer, that term, but a healing gift. And the healing gift that I have is that I'm able to help people break through fears. That's a huge gift. That's a huge gift. With our authors, probably close to 50% of them are new time authors, like they're first time authors. And oftentimes I'll get an email from them saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I could submit my chapter. And a lot of times it's based on fear of judgment, which is the number 1 fear. So in 2015, I broke through one fear every single day for a year. And I got to learn a lot about fears and how to break through those fears, some little tips and tools that I've learned along the journey that I use for myself as well as for others. And so because of that, I said, you know what? I do have a healing gift and I do deserve a spot in this book. And so literally it was the last day that I decided I'm going to write a chapter and I'm going to submit it. And I'm so glad I did, because it just helped me to admit to myself that I do have a healing gift. and that many of us do. Maybe all of us do. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But whatever you believe, you may have a healing gift that you just haven't believed in yet. And so that's where it was for me.
Yeah. And I think it's discovering those, and I do believe we all have those gifts. We all have something that we can help others with. We've been through, we've had experiences, we've lived life a little bit longer than someone else, or even, people that are older than us, we've experienced things differently, or something that they're going through, where we can say, hey, you know what, I've been through this, I can help you. And having that gift, has helped us in the business too. And I know, when I first met you, I was going through that same thing. When I first had written one of my chapters, and I called you up and said, I don't know if I can do this. So it is a gift that you have. And so, I thank you for that.
I own it, man. I own it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really enjoyed, being part of this book, of all of our books, of course, I'm a little partial to them, but, especially being part of this one, because I've been, just getting to know a little bit more about myself along this journey. So really, when you go and you purchase a copy of this book, read the chapters, read every single one. They say, I don't know who they is, but whoever they is, they say that the average reader reads only the first 2 or 3 chapters of a book. What's cool about this is that every story is different, but they have a common thread, and that thread is healing, that they use their gifts of healing to help others. Read their stories, because you may find within this book a story that resonates with you, that helps you to see that, you know what, I do have this gift. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and proselytize and all this stuff. It just means to accept the fact that you do have this extremely extraordinary gift. Maria de Lira, it was interesting, because when I first heard about her healing gift, I was like, how does that work? I didn't understand it, but I understand it more and more and more as I get to know her better, and I get to know other people better, and I get to know myself better. So her gift is that literally when she's around people, they have this feeling like they can talk to her. Mm-hmm. It may seem like a simple gift, but this is a gift, truly a gift, because a lot of people are closed off and they don't want to talk to anybody. But there's something about Maria, her energy, just by her walking into a room, that people feel comfortable and they want to connect with her because her energy. So that is a tremendous healing gift. So we have a whole bunch of different modalities that the authors use in this book. And again, read it, pick it up, read it, actually read it. Make a commitment to read 1 chapter a week. You'll be done in 22 weeks. There's 22 authors. Make a commitment to read 1 chapter a day, whatever it is, but make a commitment to go through every single chapter and then connect with the authors. You'll see at the end of every chapter, there's a bio, and in their bio, they say, you can connect with me here. So go connect with our authors and just make that greater impact in the world by connecting with them. So Sally, I'm excited. We're going to move on to our next interviews. Oh, you have something you want to say there?
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you one more question. This book went on its own journey, from inception to publish. It wasn't called Healing Gifts at first. And it went through a whole process to bring it here. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about the process that this book went through to become published? Because it has its own story within the story.
Yeah, and actually, originally, the very original title was Women with Healing Gifts. You might not know that, Sally, because this was before you came along. It was Healing Gifts was the first title. So God sends me titles of books all the time. And then I write them down. And then I do something with them, it's at some point. And so sometimes they change titles, but this one originally was Women with Healing Gifts. And then it changed to Women with Healing Hands. Or I think originally it was Action Takers with Healing Gifts. That was the original. And then it transferred to Action Takers with Healing Hands. And then it went to Women with Healing Powers. And then it went to Women with Healing Gifts. And this transformation, this is what happens in life. like just because something comes up doesn't mean it's going to be the thing that you land on. But this one ended up landing back to the original title, which came up to me over 2.5 years ago. So this is before Sally was even in the picture, you know? So it's like these things come up in life, and then we decide what we're going to do with them. How is it going to morph into something? Maybe it does need to morph. Maybe what we're stuck on is what's keeping us stuck. Like originally I was stuck on something, right? And then I wanted to move into something else, and I kept moving, but I ended up coming back to the original. So sometimes the original idea is the idea that we need to stick with, but we also need to go on that journey. I had to go on this journey of failing into it, discovering like, why this, why that, why not this, why not that, and then make the shifts out of it. So yeah, thanks for asking that question, because I had forgotten about the original Genesis, which is 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So these titles keep coming. We got like 70 titles. Oh, check out this one we got coming up. The Mind-Body Connection. I'm so excited about this one. We have some really great books coming up. Super excited about them, but we'll be talking about those a little bit later. We're going to bring up our next guest. We have Shanna Lee Moore, and then we have Dina Sabnani. Good to see you ladies today. Oh, I love the glasses, Dina. I love them. Are those prescription? You're muted. Those are really cool.
I'm at the beach.
Those are really cool. Oh, you are? Oh, nice. I love it. I love it. Well, we're talking about the book today. We're talking about women with healing gifts, and two of our authors, Shanna Lee Moore and Dina Sabnani. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask a few questions of you ladies. And my first one is going to be for Shanna. Shanna, and that your chapter title is "Heal Yourself So You Can Heal the World." And I want you to tell us, like, how did you come up with that chapter title, and what does that mean? You're muted. You're not muted, but we can't hear you. Okay, so you might need to go back into your settings and attach it to, because I think you're on your phone, attach it to your phone. So in the meantime, though, I'm going to go over to Dina and ask you the same exact question. Dina, your chapter is "Everyone is a Healer." And I was just kind of talking about, I don't know if everybody is, so I want to hear from you. How is everyone a healer?
Yeah, so basically, there are skills you can learn, right? To tap into your intuition, to get out of your own way in the belief that you're not a healer. I think so many times, we have these impressions of a healer, and they're these magical people, these mystics. I grew up, I'm an Indian, and I grew up with a lot of mythology and, these mystics with healing powers. But I also grew up in a very spiritual household where I understood we're all connected to the Creator. And throughout my journey, I realized we can tap into these gifts. There are different modalities all across the planet, and we can learn to use energy through us, to use crystals, learn about the chakras, learn about different ways that we can heal. And it might be just healing ourselves, but a lot of people out there, things like Reiki is being used in hospitals now and is very common in certain countries. The insurance even pays for it.
I did not know that. That's cool. Are there certain countries that you know of in particular that are using Reiki in hospitals? Does the U.S. do that?
I think Japan. I haven't heard of the US, but I know Japan, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the UK, it is part of the NHS. Like you can, like how at one point chiropractic was like, going to a chiropractor was considered very woo-woo and alternative. And now it's like, even my insurance here in the US covers like 35 visits to a chiropractor. So healing, I think when you think of the word healing, it's what is your perspective? What is your connotation? Is it like, laying hands on someone and say, rise, and, like Christ and miracles and healing? Is it a doctor is a healer, right? So we have to be really cognizant of the fact of what we're even considering healing. That's why I do believe, and that's why my chapter is named "Everyone is a Healer."
But that's a great point. What I love that you shared there is that recently, a few years ago, I embarked on something. It just came randomly into my head. And I said, I'm going to do a 21-day juice fast because I had some medical issues that were going on. And I did heal my body through that process, but I didn't really know why it came to me. It was an intuitive thought that came in. And I said, I'm going to do this. And so I did that. And it ended up healing my body by taking those actions. So I did. I healed myself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Right. And there's a
Thank
lot
you.
of science behind healing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just said there's a lot of science behind healing. Like, it's not just woo, there's a lot of science. When you go on a fast, your body goes into autophagy and you're restoring your metabolic sort of signature, and you're healing your insides. So there's science to it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something we're not going to get into today because that's science. I'm sure there's a lot of science related to that for sure. Well, I want to go over to Shanna. Shanna, are you able to unmute yourself? Can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Awesome. Okay, cool. So we have your chapter title is Heal Yourself So You Can Heal the World. So why don't you share with us how you came up with that chapter title and what does that mean?
Yeah, so I've been utilizing my healing gifts, and it first started through my massage therapy career. And now I had an intuitive gift to find knots and trigger points and adhesions and be able to relieve pain for people. And then, I came to the point in my life where I decided to go to school for that, be properly trained, and make it my career. But what I didn't know was, something that you guys touched on in one of the previous interviews about, whatever's inside of us is going to come out to others. And so I did, do some energy work. And so I have a friend, she can actually see auras, and she would tell me I was spotted, like I had different dark spots, but I always had my hands and arms clear. So like I had known enough intuitively not to give it to the next person, but I didn't know how to like make myself a bubble and prevent myself from even absorbing all of that junk, in the first place. And so everything that we do, between our food, our hydration, and everything we listen to and who we associate with, all the things we feed our mind, that impacts us and how we show up in the world. And so for me, this chapter goes throughout this whole journey of where maybe it started sort of on the health of others, and then I got to internalize that and really live out what I was teaching and be in alignment and harmony, because I don't want to be like an imposter. I didn't want to be sharing something that I hadn't already tried on myself so that I know that it works. We can only speak from our own experience. And so that healing of myself, and it's still a process. I have no means have I arrived at my destination. Even going through this chapter, it was one of the most challenging chapters that I've written for you guys, and a lot of stuff came up. And Laura was talking about the transition, and even you with the name of the book and how everything has changed. And it's just, that's what life is. It's this journey and this process of constantly evolving and awakening and refining ourselves and getting to level up.
So what are one or two different things that you did to help you, to aid you in this self-discovery and getting through writing your chapter and getting through putting it out there?
So the power of my community has been my main focus since COVID, basically, and us kind of getting shut down and locked in and really transitioning to utilize all this great technology we have with Zooms and, live streaming and being able to connect with people that aren't in my main area. So, being able to find coaches and mentors and people who were able to help me find that gratitude and keep a positive outlook, and all of us who have gone through something in our life, that's where these stories come from. Like, no one just had this easy breezy life and decided, oh, yay, nothing ever happened to me, so I can just help everyone. Like, it's only through these challenges and experiences that we get that a realization about ourselves and others, and how, if we choose to, we can go back and, pay that forward and share that with others to really help them out.
Yeah, Dina, I'm going to ask you the same question. What was it that you learned through this process? Is she frozen?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Okay. Was the question about writing the book, the process?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What was the process of writing the book? What are some things that you learned through that process?
Honestly, I've always wanted to write something, right? And I've written articles before, but when I was putting pen to paper, there was a lot of resistance that comes up. And I know, like, I kept putting it off, and okay, I wrote a chapter, like a paragraph, but what happened, my brain was like, what part of my story do I share, and what would be more relevant? And I remember having conversations with you, Sally, going, well, this is a little bit of my story. How do I get it across? And in writing it, I realized it's just about being vulnerable, about sharing what you know best, and allowing the audience, I was thinking of who's reading it, to come away with an understanding. Like my chapters, everyone is a healer. So understanding of, okay, so what does that mean? What did Dina go through? And then how do I become a healer? So I shared a few tips and tricks on what I would recommend to people.
Laurel.
Yeah, so it was really interesting connecting with you, Dina, and learning more about what you do too, and the way that you work with people. So there's a common thread, it seems, with clients that you work with. Would you talk more about what people are going through? Because it has to do with where you've arrived with the Joy Activator.
Yeah, so I'm a certified healer, and I do one-on-one soul coaching work. And I've just realized, no matter where I've seen clients, I'm fairly international and I've traveled to a lot of places. And no matter where I'm seeing clients, there are common threads. So I work with people who are already on the journey. They're not like needing counseling and therapy. These are men and women who understand what it's like to take personal responsibility. But there are a lot of places where they're stuck in moving forward. And when you identify it, so we do a process, identify the root beliefs. And some of these root beliefs that we're just noticing are same, like all over. There's feelings of being unworthy, not enough. There's feelings of not knowing how to either receive love or give love. But those are core root beliefs that people are holding on. A lot of my clients have beliefs that they're not even worthy to exist. And so all your life, you're going around, with this neon sign that says I'm unworthy, or what's the point of even being alive? And you're it's not to say that you're wailing on the floor, but people are going through the process of life, but they're just feeling like there's something missing, or things will go really good and then they'll go back in their belief system and go, oh, but I'm a failure, and then this isn't good enough, and I'm unworthy. And it goes down to like, what's the even, if I'm not living my purpose, what's even the point? And everyone's striving to understand, what is my purpose?
Shanna, so nice to connect with you again too. And what is the common thread that you see with the people that you work with?
So I'm blessed to have also pivoted and transitioned throughout my, career. And also, the more I'm able to heal myself and learn new tools, then the broader my scope can go out. So when I started, it was just, massage therapy. So that's going to be people in my local area. And then I learned about, hydration and how proper hydration can help your body facilitate its own healing inside. And so now that's a global company that I've partnered with. So that means I can recommend this product to people in other places, and then they could also find their own massage therapist in their local town. And then again, stepping forward and continuing to build that community and to branch out and to really make sure that the information that I've learned is continuing to be passed along, because we don't know know what we don't know until it's brought to our awareness. And so until we hear the podcast or the audio or read the book or talk to a mentor or friend or someone shares something in a unique and special way, it might never have come into our sphere of consciousness. And so, there's a little story in my chapter about a friend of mine who had to be called out to do something urgently. And she was worried about the chicken that she wanted to prepare for dinner, that it was going to go bad because she didn't have the time. And the first thing that came to my mind was to put it in a crock pot so she could go and do what needed to be done in that time, but then still get her dinner made. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I would have never thought of it. And so, a mentor that me and Linda and some of us have is another author, Greg S. Reed. And he wrote that what's common sense for one might be genius for another. And we just never know who we can impact by sharing our stories and getting ourselves out there and not being in that fearful place of, oh, who's judging me or what might happen. Just knowing that if our intent comes from love and really wanting to help others, that we can, create this legacy.
Right. And Dina and Shanna, thank you so much for being part of Women with Healing Gifts. You both certainly are, and you share of yourself with every word that you've written. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So why don't you, I'm going to ask each of you to share what's your biggest takeaway that you want the readers to have from this book. Looks like my tech is going out too.
I can share first. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are we all good? Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway is that there's far more people in life that are willing to help assist you in getting to where you're going than who will criticize you. And so, when you first get that intuition or that desire or that thought to really, try something new or to get outside your comfort zone, really just start looking for people who will help you along the way. Like once you've made a decision and you have a goal, then every opportunity you have is either going to move you closer to it or further away from it. The same thing with like your health and healing. Like every food we eat or every drink we drink, it's either going to bring us closer to where our goal is or farther away. And so to just kind of keep that in your mind for as you're showing up in the world, and just know like, okay, is this really with my true nature and purpose? Is this my intention of where I want to go? Or is this maybe an old pattern that I can learn something from and then choose a different choice for next time?
I love it. Dina, what's your biggest takeaway that you want the readers to get from reading your chapter in the book?
The biggest takeaway is that everyone has the power to heal, right? And if it's just using those skills for yourself or even seeking out other people to help you, you get move further in the process, because it is a process, right? And we want to find joy in the journey, and to remind people that it's up to us to choose. We have to choose happiness minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, until it becomes a subconscious habit that we have, like we've created any other habit. And that way, then we can default to joy. We can default to happiness, but you have to do the internal work to get out of your own way, to get through the past. If the past is holding you back, step away from the fears and worries about the future and live life in the present moment, making choices, because we all have choices that we can make in any given situation, and that we need to learn to respond to life rather than to react to life. And once we understand how powerful our thoughts are, life changes. The one thing that's in the book that my father had told me, which you'll get to read, is that this life is a movie that you get to create. So you choose what you want to see. And if you don't like it, just write a different script for it. So yeah, I'm excited about people getting this book, and I'm looking forward to hearing the reviews.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Head on over to Women with Healing Gifts. Head on over to Amazon. Get your copy today. actiontakerspublishing.com/healing will get you there, and read the stories of these amazing authors and get your copy. We'll be back with some more authors after this commercial break.
Okay. Oh, I keep getting muted. It's weird. It's been happening to me this last couple of weeks. Anyway, this has been an incredible day. We're talking about the book, Women with Healing Gifts. The stories in this book are absolutely incredible, transformational, and they may help you to see how you have your own healing gifts within yourself. That's what they did for me, is as I was reading them, I was like, maybe I do have a healing gift. So I want to thank every single woman who has stepped up and said, you know what, I want to share my story in this book. We spoke earlier to Nasira, who had been in the corporate world, and she also had, you know, these different modalities that she was using, but she didn't want to tell anybody. So she, you know, kind of like hid it. She would go to classes and stuff behind the scenes. Nobody knew what she was doing until finally she realized that she was ready to go ahead and share her gifts with the world. And so I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful journey. We talked a little bit earlier about, you know, how some women have shied away of accepting their healing gifts. And then, like, what was it that took them into saying, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and accept them. I'm going to start living that way, living my life that way. So Sally, what's been your favorite part so far of today's launch day interviews?
Yeah, I just love all these women. I've gotten to know a lot of them through helping them write their chapters and getting on calls with them. And it's been awesome just getting to know them and being part of their energy and working with them. I know Anya was real instrumental. You know, I met her through this book when my husband had his stroke. I reached out to her, or she reached out to me when I mentioned it, and it was really comforting. And so the connections that we've made, or that I've made because of this book, is priceless.
What I love about that, I want to talk about that just a little bit, because Sally, your journey into the authorship world was different than mine, was different than a lot of people's. You did something that I think is really cool that I had never even considered doing before. But and what's interesting about that is that, like, I'm a connector. I love connecting with people and connecting them with others that can help them. But you did something when you joined your very first collaboration book, which was a One Habit book. One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success, I think, was your first one. And when you joined that book, what did you do? I want you to share with everybody what you did, because this is what I think really set Sally apart from a lot of other people who were in the books. Sally?
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get my book. And I remember I did an unboxing video. And I wasn't one to go, and I'm still not one to go on and do Facebook Lives or anything. But I recorded myself opening up the box and pulling the book out. And that night I was going through and I was reading all the chapters. I was like, these people are amazing. I love these people. So I sat down with the book and I said, you know what? I'm just going to Facebook friend every single one of these people and send them a message and say, hey, we're in the same book. What do you got going on? And so I did. I went through the book. It took me 2 or 3 days, and I just sent Facebook friend requests to every single person. Now, a lot of them, because a lot of them were these highly successful business owners and stuff, and a lot of them didn't accept my my Facebook friend request, but a lot of them did. And so I connected with a whole bunch of people, and some of them were like me, it was their first time, but a lot of them had been in this world, like you had been connected with a lot of the other people that were in that book for a long time. And so it kind of, by me doing that, it kind of connected me with you and with all of the other people that you were involved with. And, I think then when I was sending those Facebook friend request are like, oh, look, she's friends with all these other people. She must be cool. So I'll accept her, So it kind of catapulted me. And it was just something that came to my head, but it was through that moved me along in this journey.
Yeah, and what I love that you did there is, so I want to speak of it from two different perspectives. One is that Sally was an author in a book with other people, and she reached out to those people and connected with them. Some of them did, and some of them didn't. But even if you're not in a book, when you're reading the book, like this book, for example, at the end of all of our chapters are bios of the authors, and you can connect with them. There's a way to connect with them. So if they resonate, if there's something, even if it's not one of our books, if it's a book that you're reading, The 4-Hour Work Week or Jab, 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 Right Hook from Gary Vaynerchuk, which, by the way, after I read that book, I did reach out to him. He never responded, like you mentioned, but I reached out. If I didn't reach out, he never would have responded anyway. So the point here is that there are these people in our lives that write these books that help us in different ways. Let's reach out to them, make that connection. You don't know what's going on the other side. They might be having doubts about themselves. They might be having doubts about their book. Even if it's somebody who's sold lots of copies, they still maybe in that moment that they get your message, they may be going through some doubts, and you might be that person that says, you know what, I read your book and I really love what you wrote about this, and it really helped me in this way. And this is just a great way to make a connection. It's not about, complimenting them as much as it is about just letting them know that it impacted your life. And I think that's the big step here, is to do that. So Sally, congratulations on doing that, making that step. And here we are today, publishing all these books. I don't even know what number we're on anymore. I think number 18 or something, close to that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I was making a list. I think it's like 17 or 18.
We have this one coming up June 26th, Midlife Awakening. This one was curated by Kathy Dirksen. She was in my mastermind, and she also was in a couple of our books at the beginning. And then she decided she's going to start putting together her own books. And so she brings them to us to do the publishing work, because she's not a publisher. So she's like, I'll go get the people, you guys do the work. And so this book, Midlife Awakening, it's coming out June 26th is the official launch date. So we have that one. And then we have The Joy of Work, which is coming up also July 11th. So we have a lot of great books that are coming up, to come. And it's been an incredible journey. And Sally has been an integral part of the journey, because before I was doing it myself. And by Sally joining the team, it led to a lot of different things for me. And one of those was having trust in somebody else, which is part of, we're talking about women with healing gifts. Part of my own healing was trusting, being able to trust myself and being able to trust others. So I had a trust issue. And so I was able to work through that. And so Sally has been integral in that. So I want to thank you again, Sally, for being part of that. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring up our next guest, so Sally, you have something you want to say before we bring up Christiana?
You know what? I just want to say just quickly, just a fun fact that with the books that we've launched in June, we will have made 70 best-selling authors in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks, 70 best-selling authors, and potentially they'll be all #1 international best-selling authors, which is what we're shooting for. But definitely best-selling authors, like we know that's a given. It just happens every time. So we've got the formula down. So next, we're going to bring up our next guest, Christiana, and I'm going to bring up Laurel. I'm going to go back down into we're going to triple team her. That's right. We're going to triple team you, Christiana. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
Oh, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready.
I know you are. You're born ready. You're born ready.
I love Christiana. I've worked with her on her chapter, and getting to know her and speaking with her has been a blessing in my life. She is awesome. So I'm
no pressure.
No pressure.
Well, let's start off with the title of your chapter, Belonging. And so why don't you share with us, a little bit about like how you came up with that title and what does belonging mean?
Well, first, congratulations, #1 international best-selling authors. Woo-hoo. Happy Father's Day and Happy New Moon. So a lot to celebrate today, The chapter belonging, the actual name didn't come until the very last word written pen to paper. What did come before that was all of the ancestral deep healing work that I had been going into this deep dive with for the last 3 years, and knew that somehow this story needed to get out to the world for just myself, for my own ancestral deep healing. And then realizing that coming from a family that was steeped in communism, my father, I'm first generation here from Cuba, and being raised with that mentality and that energy within my family's dynamic, along with leaving Catholicism and then jumping into a cult. It was like, okay, my life felt so chaotic for a long time. That feeling, not knowing where home was very disturbing to me. And that's where I feel the actual word came through for me, through spirit, through great spirit, made it very clear to me, hey, Christiana, you belong here on earth. You're a spiritual being having a human experience, and this is your evolutionary journey. And what you're here to do is to figure out where you belong here on this earth and to share your gifts. That's where that came from.
Oh, Christiana, we've connected through social media, and it's been so interesting learning about your story. And one of the things about the Women with Healing Gifts authors is that we all have such a connection through our family, and the paths have been very similar. So today is actually quite significant too, in that the healing of the masculine and the feminine on and in our lives, but also celebrating fathers today on Father's Day. And I just did want to say that in general too, to Happy Father's Day to all of the men in those roles and the men in our lives. And Christiana, you're living in Hawaii right now, right? If that isn't the playground of the goddess.
Oh yeah, it's just this was another dream of mine. One of my dreams was to move to Hawaii. My parents used to leave us with a nanny, and they would vacation here uh, for a good amount of time. As a child, it felt like forever. And I always said, you know what? I've never been to Hawaii, but when I go, I'm going to live. And that's what happened. I had never been here before. I landed here with 3 suitcases and said, okay, Tutu Pele, I am here. And that energy of this Aina, this land, has been very activating for me and has been very healing as well. Very, very healing.
If I think of any place in the world that is saturated in goddess energy, you're living in it. And the work that you're doing right now is really geared towards women's healing too.
Yes.
What do you
Absolutely.
see as a common challenge that women are working on right now?
Well, I believe it has to do with my chapter again about belonging. Where do we as women sit at our throne, at our center, and share our voice with all of the gifts that we hold intuitively and naturally? And so the work that my ancestors bring forward from the Chichimeca lineage on my mother's side, she's the Arendas, and then my father, the Cuban side, is the Orishas. And what that means is that there's very deep, intuitive understanding and knowledge that we have as women that comes from the portal of our womb space. And Hawaii is very much known for that because of the calderas, the volcanoes. It's very activating. The feminine energy here is activating. So women do have the capacity and the understanding of being able to heal very deeply from within. However, they don't always know how to get to that place. So the ancient teachings of my ancestors bring this energy forth to show women how to dive deeper into this ancestral knowledge and bring that out to the world with our voices, like we're doing here today. We're coming together as a collaboration of women with healing gifts to remind all women that we can do this, and also to do that in celebration with our divine masculine energy, our sacred sons, our brothers, our fathers, our husbands, our uncles. It's really important to be able to acknowledge that we as humans have deep healing gifts, especially so the women that birth the world. That's what we do. We birth the world. We intuitively know that we have gifts to share, and that the medicine that I bring forth is to encourage women to, even if you start with a whisper, start speaking your truth, because there's somebody else out there that's going to resonate with it.
I really appreciate the work that you do and what you're speaking to. So many women are cut off or disconnected from that aspect of themselves, and it can be scary for them to go there, and you make it so accessible. Just like you say, it can be just the whisper. And so for all of the women that are watching today, this seed is being planted. And this is a sign to you that you're hearing this for a reason. And I just really appreciate the work that you do, Christiana.
Thank you, Laurel. Really, it's a fire in my belly,
Yeah.
as the same as volcano, as Tutu Pele. It's my life. It's not something I took a one-on-one class with. It's my ancient ancestral lineage, and it's asking to be spoken to. And so when I started this journey with Sally and Linda and yourself, it wasn't something that was, oh, just an extension of me. It is who I am. I needed to speak this story out loud. And today's really pivotal for me as well. My father just transitioned last month, and this story opens up with him. And so it's really powerful for me. I had no idea when I started this what would be happening right now in my life. And so it's really such a memorial. For me, it's when I heard to act upon getting involved with action takers, I really was like, I'm not certain why. And so because I live the life I do with spirit, and spirit guides me to do what's next, I needed to do this. Even at the time, I didn't understand why. Now it makes so much sense, because it really is created such freedom with even my father and I on his deathbed. It was just absolutely profound of what really happened with the deep healing from being exiled from the family because of what I was doing and how I was living my life, to this great amount of freedom now, because his last words were to me, "I'm really proud of you," because I did share that I was writing this book. So when you journey with action takers and you're not exactly certain what that's going to look like at the beginning, it's profound in what happens, right now in this moment, sitting here with all of you amazing women that, I mean, come on, #1 international bestseller up against Arnold. Come on. Like, this is pretty spectacular. It's really beautiful. So I'm really so grateful with the whole experience.
The power of the feminine. And when we all come together, like you say, the whispers, it starts with the whisper, with the planting of the seed, and doing the work. And thank you so much for all that you share and all that you are sharing in your chapter, Women with Healing Gifts.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Blessings today.
Yeah. I think Kim is trying to join us.
So, Christiana, what's one thing you want the readers to take away from reading your chapter?
You have the power within you to shift and change your story at any given moment. It lies within you, and it's about tapping into that energy source of the womb heart space that can allow you to move gracefully forward in your own story, and that you can do really deep healing from within and change the trajectory of your entire life.
Yeah, I love that, and that healing comes with with the whole journey that you're on, and pursuing those things that sometimes scare you. So what are some of your tips for someone who's kind of on the fence about you know is this the right path for me to be on, and how do I go about doing this?
Yeah, that internal voice that we have, that initial internal voice as women that we have, that's our intuition. And it doesn't come from the headspace. It comes from deep within the cauldron or the caldera of that volcano within. That initial voice is the one we need to listen to and negate everything else that comes from the outside world. That intuition, when we know our baby's crying and what kind of cry it is, that same voice is how we can lead our life. That's the voice right there that we need to be listening to. Again, if it starts with a whisper or if you hear it at a scream at the top of your voice, listen to that and act upon that voice. That's your truth as a wise woman. That's your inner wisdom.
Yeah. And we've talked about that a lot, trusting your intuition, and how do we know that it's our voice and not not just us wanting to to make something happen, or that it is our something from the outside of us or some from the inside of us making us do something.
Absolutely, Sally. And therefore, the medicine, again, that comes through my ancient lineage is about clearing the space within the womb so that you can honor your own voice. Because if things are convoluted and chaotic around you and you're listening to everything out here, it's difficult to have crystal clear communication with spirit and with self if we're allowing others into our realm. So it's boundaries, it's seated at your center, and then facing your north direction home towards self, towards your own story, towards home, knowing that you belong here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So you were part of another book with us. How is this book different?
Yeah, the other book is coming out, I believe, at the end of July, which is called Get Shit Done, which you learn really quick what to do when you live on a rock in the middle of nowhere. That's an active volcano. That work for me, writing that chapter was much different than women with healing gifts. Women with healing gifts felt that it needed to get out. I needed to share this. There wasn't an option. Spirit said you need to share your gifts with the world. As opposed to the other book was really about more strategic and more logical about how you prep yourself for living, yes, in paradise with an active volcano or volcanoes. So it was a little bit different in the way I approached it. Women with healing gifts felt just it needed to be done. There wasn't a choice. It wasn't me. It was spirit saying, you need to do this. And you need to do it with other women in collaboration because together women rise.
There you go.
Oh, Christiana, thank you so much for for being with us today, and welcome to Kim. Kim, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and learning about the work that you do, and how being part of Women with Healing Gifts is such a great fit for you, because you're so passionate about working with women and women being healthy. Welcome today.
Thank you so much, Laurel. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here today with you wonderful ladies. I just love what we get to do and how we get to even just bless each other, you know, how we are sewing into each other's lives. This is so amazing.
Yeah. Well, I was just so interested in how your work has, actually how your family life has brought you to the work too, because you're a mom with 8 children in the house and young children, and there's a lot going on, and how the heart of the healer really is how, you know, it all, I think it all starts with being a mom too, that we look at the world very differently. So let's talk about your chapter and what you bring through your story of in Women with Healing Gifts.
Oh, yes, I'd love to. So my chapter, I talk about how my pain really led to me going into the things that I felt that God had really called me to do. And I talked in the book a little bit about a graduation of one of my sons, and just the pain I was going through. Some things was going on in my life, and really what it was me not taking care of myself. You know, I used to exercise and do all kinds of stuff like that years ago, and then when the kids came, I just dropped everything. Everything was for them, and I didn't even realize. You know how you're just doing stuff, you don't even realize you're doing it. And so that's what I realized I was doing it, because when I tried to go to see my son, I could barely walk out of the car, because anytime I would sit down for more than 15 minutes, I was in pain. Just everywhere I would go, like if I was still, I was in pain. And I'm trying to race to get to hear him. And thank the Lord, his name was in the S, because by the time I got there, they were in the J's, and I was able to hear it. So I was able to see him walk across. So that was awesome. You know, that was such a blessing. But I just feel like for me, what really helped me too is just to know that I could change things. It was me. It wasn't, you know how in life sometimes you want to blame everybody else for things. You want to blame your kids. You want to blame your husband. It was me. I was the one that was holding myself back from having the life that I can have. And so what I found out that helped me was really starting to sew into myself, really starting back to exercise. I did some physical therapy, and I prayed, and all of that contributed to what I am now. And as a result of that, I said, you know what? I helped myself. I'm going to help other people. So that's why I decided to become a health coach. And then even more, I was like, you know what? I love movement. I love fitness. We all need fitness, especially when we get older. And so that's why I also decided to become a personal trainer as well. So I just kind of, have evolved it all together. And the main thing that I focus on is we get to do this. This is not a drudgery in life. We get to do this. We get to live the lives that we're supposed to live. So that's my philosophy. I do it for myself, and then I do it to try to help others as well. So
yeah, and I think that self-care is so important, and such an important piece that women tend to, not take care of themselves because they're so busy taking. I mean, that was my story for a number of years, and it wasn't until COVID happened that I stopped and looked back and said, hey, you know what? I haven't been doing anything. And like you said, you don't even realize that you're doing it for other people, that you're not taking care of you. So Kim, I want to thank you. And what is the one takeaway that you want the readers to know after reading your chapter? You want them to take away?
I would love for them to take away a few things. One main thing is that with God, all things are possible. Don't ever limit yourself. And if you think maybe you cannot do something, at least try. Make an action, because if you do nothing, you're going to get nothing. The grave is full of people that should have been musicians, that should have been doctors, singers, all that. Don't let it happen to you. You can do it. All things.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
That's yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Kim, for being part of this book, for sharing your stories inside this book, and we can't wait for your stories to get out there in the world, and for people to start reading them and reaching out to you. So, thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Such a privilege and an honor to be here. Take care.
Aloha.
Well, Laurel, we're heading to the end of the interviews. We've interviewed the authors for today. So what has been your biggest takeaway from today?
Yeah, it truly just has been a very special experience being together with like-minded women. And, go out and buy the book. If you're watching this today, it's a message. It's a sign. I call them the red flags. There's something that is a gift for you in Women with Healing Gifts. There's someone that has some tidbit of information, or maybe there's a program. There's lots of free gifts when you purchase the book today. And so, yeah, I love the common message of heal yourself. That be thy, physician, heal thyself, be the healer of your own life first, do your self-care, and yeah, just get out there and be the best version of yourself. And what about yourself, Sally? What was your takeaway from today?
I think it's the community. It's the community of women, and the energy that I got from being part of this. Mm-hmm. So I just love that community that we built, and I want to thank you, Laurel, for doing all you did to help us curate this book and put it together and connect with the authors. And you really stepped up, and I really appreciate that, and I thank you for for everything, because you and I too have gotten to be closer because of this. And so that's the best part about being part of these books, are the community that you create and the people that you connect with, and having that group of like-minded people.
Truly selfishly motivated. It's been my pleasure and my honor, and I love being in the community too. So thank you so much, Sally, for everything that you do, and to Linda for all that she does. Right now she's behind the scenes, but you ladies are always behind the scenes doing great works, bringing people together in community. So thank you.
Sure. And we'll be right back after this commercial message.
One of the things that I've personally found from my experience of working with Action Taken Publishing is that I've walked away with more friends than I had before, because of the relationship that you build with the authors while working in an anthology. I think it's an amazing project to be able to get published. It's a fantastic way to get published the first time, and I've almost seen people who get hooked on doing anthologies, because once that bug is bitten, you feel like you can release more and more and more and more stories, and Linda's got a bunch of titles that I think resonates with a lot of us who live in the real world.
You're muted.
Awesome. Awesome. This has been a great day. Wow. Father's Day. We didn't know when we first picked the date that this was Father's Day. And so we actually have gone to our calendar and said, from now on, we're going to check all the holidays before we scheduling these launches. But it's been incredible. The authors that have come up and shared their stories, how they came up with their chapter titles, their whole story about, their mission and like what they're doing now and how they got into it. It's really fascinating to me. And I just loved hearing everybody. Sally, this has been a great day. Action Takers Publishing, this journey that we're on together. This is one of our books, Women with Healing Gifts, that we launched today. And it is, I've been checking the rankings all day long because I want to see if anything has changed, and nothing has shifted in the last couple hours, which, we'll just keep checking in to see what's going on. So we're number 4 right now in India, looking to hit number 1. They're probably asleep right now because I think it's after 11 o'clock p.m. over there right now. But we'll wake up when they wake up in the morning, we'll check the rankings again. We're still in number 9 against Arnold, who is number 6, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we really want to pass him up, but ultimately we want to become a number 1 international best-selling book. So if you go to purchase a copy of the book, you can find it at actiontakerspublishing.com/healing. While you're over there, you're going to see some free gifts from our authors. Please go cash in on those gifts and connect with those authors. They're absolutely incredible. You're going to love them. So when you go to our website, you're going to see a bunch of flags, and those flags will be the different countries. Click on the country that best represents where you are located and purchase your Kindle version of the book. It's only $1.99 US. And if you would like to get reimbursed for that, go ahead and just send me your receipt, and I'm happy to reimburse you that $1.99. So the last thing I wanted to mention is that we have a sale coming up, Sally, don't we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that just a little bit before we end for the day. Woo woo.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that, all of these authors have in common is they raised their hand and they said, yes, they wanted to share their story in a book. And so we have a number of books that we are currently looking for authors. So if you're watching this and you want to join us in one of our upcoming collections, we would love to have you join us. Even if you did it this time and you want to do it again and again and again, I say you're being part of a collaboration book is like opening a bag of potato chips. You can't stop at one. Once you get going, it's just so much fun. You want to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And so we would love to have you join us. Hop on a call with Linda or myself, and we can help you get started. We are having a summer sale for this coming summer. It's 30% off all of our packages, or most of our packages. You just use the code summer30 and go over to actiontakers.com/author and see the books that we have, because some of them are pretty cool.
Some of them, all of them. What are you talking about? Some of them. All of them are pretty cool. And it's actiontakerspublishing.com. You did say actiontakers.com. We want to make sure that they go to the right place. Actiontakers Publishing.
How about a roll here?
I know you are. /author, and check it out. Right now we have I think it's 9 books that are showing up on our website, but we have several more that are coming really, really soon that we're going to be looking for authors for. So if you've enjoyed these interviews, if you've enjoyed connecting with the women here that are in this book, Women with Healing Gifts, if you've liked what you've seen of what we're doing, you heard the comments from the people that we've interviewed, the process of going through working with Action Takers Publishing. If you were in a collaboration book before and you weren't really ecstatic about the results that you got, connect with us and see how we can make it different, because we do hear a lot of stories about people who, when they come over to us, they're like, I'm so glad I came over here because it was a different experience. So go ahead and check us out, actiontakerspublishing.com/author. If you want to join us in one of those books, enter the code SUMMER30 to get 30% off. And that's for most of our books, not all of our books, but most of them have that discount, and that's through the end of summer, which I'm so excited to see how this sale goes. Like, let's get as many stories out into the world as possible with a mission of empowering 5 million women and men to share their stories with the world to make a greater impact on the planet. We're doing this one person at a time. Will you be one of us? We sure hope so.
we just added 70 more to that number. So this month we will have added 70 more to that number. So we're getting closer to the 5 million.
We're getting closer and closer, right? One person at a time. And we're really, enjoying the process of it. So we look forward to seeing you. If you want to check it out, you want to get on a call with either Sally or I, you're not sure which book is the best title for you, you want to hop on a call with us, you can do that too. You'll see that on our website. So we'll see you later for our next book launch, which is Midlife Awakening. And that is on June 26th. That book is already a best-selling book, and I think that book is already an international best-selling book, and we're shooting for #1 international for that book as well. But we look forward to seeing you all on June 26th or before then. And everybody have an amazing day. Happy Father's Day. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.